a lovely day.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chris Hillman, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Dick Earth Skeptic, Edwin Johnson, Owen Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik86, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Maria Neelands, Missouri Bear, Muted, NA Literalist, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Rob H, Skeptic936, Steve ALM, Texas Mike, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now, we are joined by a fair few people who are all surprisingly in the after show as opposed to the live stream, but we'll figure that out with Discord in a minute. And also 10th man in G+. So I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Hey, Steve. I think he's getting coffee or something.
Hey,
I'm here now, actually. I'm here. Sorry, I just literally sat down.
I just said hi because it seemed kind of skinny this morning. Nobody here.
They're all in the after show. I'm sure they'll migrate over here eventually. I think the show that we did yesterday, that's going to go out tonight in real time, or yesterday if you're actually listening to this being broadcast now, that show I went back and listened to. I tend to know when they're really good shows because before they're released I'll go and watch them on my, like, you know, maybe you don't, well, no, you do, you're a YouTuber now, aren't you, Saint the Man? So you know, in your YouTube videos list you can just watch stuff before it's published. Maybe you don't.
I didn't know that.
Okay,
I've heard you say that before, though.
Yeah, you can. Once it's uploaded, you don't necessarily release it immediately. As soon as it's processed, you release it whenever you like. But what I've been doing is the shows that come out the following day, I release them to the members of Nathan Oakley 1980 a day early. So in other words, as soon as the after show has actually been concluded, as soon as I stop recording, immediately the first thing I do is I upload that video to Nathan Oakley 1980 and then set it to members only and send out a post saying here's the latest after show, and then everyone else has to wait about 36 hours to get that show. Does that make sense? So it's like an added bonus for being a member.
Yeah.
But the point is that normally what I'll do, if it's not a Ballbusters week, I'll pick the best two shows with after shows and release them on Saturday and Sunday at the normal debate time. So it's still new material, it's still stuff that people on that channel haven't seen, and typically I'll go for the ones that I've actually gone out of my way to listen back to after they've been recorded, like yesterday's. So, you know, this morning I loaded it up and listened to it and I was like, that was a really good show.
It was.
I'll probably release that. Go on, sorry.
I would say the last week and a half, content driven, because we haven't had that many. I mean, we've had the regular ballers, but for the most part, the panel, other people it's a lot of content going through slowly, and more insight on things that we thought we had down got even better. So it just proves that all you need is a subject matter. You don't really need a hostile baller to make this show rock, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I've said it before. I'm more than happy if they're not here. You know, it doesn't faze me in the slightest. I'll happily talk about this subject because I'm very passionate about it. So talking about the nature of reality, talking about how the globe Earth isn't correct and how we were all deceived by it, I can do that all day. That's why I've got this show. So you're right. You don't need a hostile witness. And the conclusion sort of just after the live show yesterday was that if we have people like Zanuck who just overtly lie, they'll have a discussion with you and then deny they've even had it, deny any evidence that you've shown, and deny the evidence even exists when they've already discussed it and denied it. That sort of person, what's the point? They're not going to progress this conversation in the slightest, other than to our detriment, claiming that we are liars when they're denying the very evidence that they've denied themselves.
Yeah, right. Less than 15, 20 seconds after they say the opposite.
Exactly. So,
how long can you take? We do, we don't, it is, it isn't. And then citations that are actually proving our point, but only read the part that in a way doesn't address the question or the citation. And then they obfuscate that. And then we say, well, where'd you get that? Can we see it? And then they don't bring one. So we have to go look for, and we find 10, 20 to say the opposite from EDU sites.
That I can cope with, all of that I can cope with, and that's the way things go, right? We expose where they haven't got what they claim they have, or their citations are cherry picked as they claim we are always doing. That bit that's part of the course. It's the bit where you've done all that, you've shown them that, and they just say, no, you haven't, you're a liar. No, that citation that you showed me doesn't even exist. Show it me now.
That's why I offered that last statement as proof that we address with proof and citations and more questions, and we dig deeper to find out what the exact meanings are. They, when addressed with our address, come back with "you're a liar," ad homs, something about a family member. It's like, wait a minute, who needs you?
Exactly. If not only are you not going to concede because it's fundamental to your religious belief, and you're then going to deny and lie and claim we're liars, then you're an unreasonable person as far as I'm concerned. There's no benefit to dealing with those sorts of people because they're pigs, and all you'll get is dirty when you're wrestling with them.
Yeah. Well, what they forget is that if you I'll speak for myself, 10th man here. If you show me proof for something and I can validate it, I'm not going to fight it. I'll be your best cheerleader for it. That's all we're asking for, ballers.
Exactly. While we're being called liars and charlatans, we're actually demonstrating our points, dismantling their claims, only to be called liars even more by the people who've been obliterated.
Well, that Black Swan R sure did some damage.
I might re-release the Bob the Science Guy clip, the toe tag for Bob the Science Guy. So he's done a couple of videos on me. I didn't watch the first, but the second I did watch this morning. So he's discussing the R value discussion between myself and Rumpus. And he's saying things like, you see how Nathan tries to link the R value to terrestrial refraction there? Yeah, and then hold on, and then in the next breath goes on to say the R value is in refraction because blah 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 blah. He just couldn't make this stuff up. I thought if I was to take this, I can't be asked. I'm not going to do an advert for Bob. I've got a toe tag of him which I might just release with one little snippet of him saying "Don't go on Nathan's show," and then follow that with him on my show. Just
so let me see if I can bring some comedy to it. You mean you got a video capturing my image robbing an ATM? Well, when you see me in that ATM image, oh,
exactly. But very amusing.
Man.
Like I say, it won't get a dedicated video. I'm not. But if you want to go and watch it, I'm more than happy to recommend it because it's a good advert for me. The only criticisms he's got of the format of the show. My not letting Rumpus have a word when I'm responding to every word he says. Nevertheless, those are his criticisms, not really valid in terms of the argument. And then to go on and on and on about how we've got two horizons. He also makes a concession that they all agree, and we all agree that we don't have a geometric horizon. He actually makes that statement, does Bob the Science Guy. Again, mildly tempting to trim that out, but that's a given now, right? Black Swan, 6 months later, I don't need Bob to concede that they don't have a geometric horizon anymore. It's the end of their model. But the fact that he has is just a testament to the fact that this argument has been successful.
Yeah, if there's one thing that anyone would know, is that Rumpus has had enough time for all the words. This guy never stops talking. I don't know how he breathes. And it's just a running dialogue. For him to complain, he doesn't have time to explain. No, when we catch you ad homing, we give you a warning, and then you're out of here. When we catch you in a fallacious argument, we tell you to stop, and you don't. So if you would just talk like normal people and debate and go back and forth and evaluate the points, it'd be fine. But he's not like that at all. He just talks forever.
Yeah.
Mind you, he's never wrong either, according to himself.
Yeah, he's frequently wrong.
You know, it's an assessment to sales and sales training, and you'll get this, Nathan, and as well as others. When I would call on a potential customer, I would look for body signs, language, and all that. And I could tell they weren't interested in talking, so I would stop talking because I could see it's changing their demeanor. They don't want to talk about this. They want to talk about something else or don't want to talk at all. And this is what people don't understand is when you have a topic like flat earth and the nature of our reality, if you're trying to talk to a family member like I have and others, just read the body language. If they're not interested, don't worry about it. If they are interested, it is the most fascinating discussion you could have with anybody about the nature of the earth because it really causes deep thoughts and questions to come up. And they remember, like I've had really good discussions with normies. It's been wonderful because they even say, you know, I always thought about that. That was kind of funny as I was growing up. And such a wonderful dialogue that is. And then you just let that seed ferment and, you know, go for a while. And then the next time you see him, it gets better and better. The antagonist baller is like an enemy agent. They don't care about truth. They just want to fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. Who's joined? Who's that? Sleeping Warrior, hello.
I didn't realise Righteous was in. Right, I'm bailing. Ladies.
But why is your icon red?
I don't know, he's left. He's got a beef with Righteous.
Oh, I thought you said he's left, like the left is red icon. Oh, if he's got a beef with Righteous, there's a lot at stake.
A lot at stake, eh?
Oh, yeah, I really enjoy your show for the content and for the learning. It's refreshing, actually. Wow. Not too many people on Discord or other agree or what?
There's loads of them. They're just all in. They're all in the after show.
Wow.
Neil's
So
here.
they can't
Hey, Neil.
talk.
Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Hello.
What's happening?
You,
Talking to
buddy.
me?
What's going on?
Am I coming in loud and clear?
Yep.
Talking to me?
Anybody
Yep.
having problems with internet here? It's terrible.
Oh, you sound good.
How's California?
Oh, we had an incredible day yesterday. Santa Ana winds were blown. That's when it comes from the east, goes towards the ocean. Blew so many things all over the place. It was incredible disturbance in the air. Calmed down later in the afternoon, and gorgeous day today.
So you're right by the sea?
About an hour directly east. I'm about an hour, 10 minutes from San Diego. About an hour from Oceanside and about an hour, 20 minutes, say an hour and a half from Laguna Beach or Newport Beach.
Is it true that San Diego has the...
You got cut off there.
Say again,
Is
Neil.
it true they say that San Diego has the best weather in
Yeah, I think you got cut off, but I think you're asking about the weather in San Diego. Yeah, but not just San Diego, where I'm at as well. Now, the closer you get to the ocean, it's going to be cooler. So I'm inland and at 2,300 feet. So it actually snows here when it gets cold. Not a lot, just it melts the next day. But if you go towards the ocean, if it's 90 or 100 degrees Fahrenheit here, it's going to be 85 or something by the ocean with a breeze. So, but I get that ocean breeze coming through the canyons every single day.
Must be gorgeous.
It is. It's the best. I mean, I've lived. Well, I've traveled a lot, but I've lived in Spain, right on the Med. I've been to Nice, France, Italy. It's just like the Mediterranean, except better weather, longer summers, not as cold. It's almost the same as living in the south coast of France, Italy, or Spain.
Morning, Paul.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Just fix some breakfast.
So, Paul, how many microstates are there in your house?
Too many to count.
There's a lot. Sorry, we got company too, so I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to talk to you guys and talk to company.
Yeah, no problem. Nathan, have you seen the trend as we near the start of your show? How just about everything that the baller community puts up, they have to do on the plane and then reify on the globe to make it fit their sphere.
Yeah, we'll go through that in the housekeeping, I think, in a minute or so, but I agree. Even the geodetic surveys, and while I had an inkling of this, it was never laid out in such detail that Bev and Brian have laid it out in, so you really understand what they're doing and how they're presupposing the sphere and the tangent plane. But yeah, they're always working on planes, because that's what we're dealing with. You can't actually superimpose a sphere Earth onto a flat plane. It doesn't work. Hence, you have to do it the other way around. Start with the presupposition of a sphere, and back engineer in how that works whilst dealing with a flat plane, which is what they all do, including Andrew Thomas Young and the geodetic surveyors. You're absolutely right. Anyway, better start the show. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, Paul Hall, 10th Man, Arwin, Chocolate Sane, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Greetings.
Howdy.
Morning.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from Earth.
Oh, it's there
Maybe
some
you can see
days
it
and
from the sky
others
back.
not.
Say again, Nathan's apprentice?
Like there's pictures, apparently of it, but it's there one day, then it changes the next.
It's always there in the model.
We live on a bouncy ball. Awesome.
Yeah,
It's the wobbly Earth.
we'll get to it next then. So, any evidence of the R value? Earth radius?
Not since the Black Swan.
I love how you're
Breathe out
whispering
when you
it
say
and
that.
at the same time overloading the mic and distorting it. That's quite a feat.
Yeah.
So, the R value, right?
Whispering to loud chocolate.
So we're all aware of the Black Swan. So check out Quantum Eraser channel. He went through the Black Swan argument. It's 6 months old now, so it came out 1st Jan 2020, and since then it's done nothing but demolish and destroy the heliocentric paradigm. There is no rebuttal to the Black Swan. There is a requirement, as per their geometry, with the assertion that we have a physical horizon blocking boats and buildings, and that physical geometric sphere edge horizon is based on their R value. There's no getting away from this. They derived the R value by way of the horizon with Al-Biruni. That's how they got it in the first place. Now, the horizon is not a physical location, certainly not a geometric edge, and this is being conceded and admitted at the moment by their side. That would be the globe Earth side of this argument. Most recently, Bob the Science Guy, also known as Bob the Fallacy Guy, a participant on this show. He joins the show, he's been on the show, he's debated here. Nevertheless, Bob's recent video about me debating Rumpus makes it plain. They all concede that they do not have a geometric horizon. Well, you're going to need one. It's in your model marked with an X labelled horizon, and your refraction value, 7/6R, is based on it. It's got an R in it. So you're going to need geometric horizons and tangents, not donkey dick tangents with straight lines being bent by refraction that's based on the R value. So it's game over globe. Let's just make this absolutely plain. There is no rebuttal to the Black Swan. If the horizon's refracted, it's not geometric. And geometric it must be if you're going to assert that it's blocking boats and buildings, as per your religion of a sphere Earth with a edge for a horizon. Your edge, globe edge. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
What's the only one's the ring laser gyro, but that's very iffy and non-scientific.
Oh, I use that as a hostile witness. So the ring laser gyro or fibre optic gyro, when used as a globe Earth proof, would assert that you are watching a deviation at 15 degrees an hour because the Earth rotates underneath the gyro. So the gyro's not really moving, it's fixed in space. That's what gyros do. But the deviation that you see isn't an actual deviation. The gyro can't deviate. That's one of its principles. So it's not deviating. The apparent deviation that you see is because they claim Earth is rotating underneath the gyro, because it's not attached to the non-inertial spinning reference frame they claim Earth is. So because the gyro's not attached to the Earth that's spinning underneath, it shows 15 degrees an hour deviation. However, if Earth is spinning underneath a gyroscope or a pendulum or anything, then anything that's not in or on the non-inertial spinning reference frame of a claim to be ball Earth that turns would also deviate at 15 degrees an hour. Now that would imply that to see things like aeroplanes drifting at 15 degrees an hour from your observation on the ground, i.e. you look up in the sky and see a plane and it seems to be curving, it's not actually curving, it's just like the gyro, it's an apparent deviation according to them. And the reason you'd see this apparent deviation from the plane is because according to them you're turning underneath it, making it seem to curve. But if you're seeing an apparent deviation in a plane because it's got the Earth rotating underneath, that would shorten flight times. So if the gyro's assertion that it's showing 15 degrees an hour of the Earth turning underneath, then Earth's turning underneath aeroplanes and shortening their flight times. But that simply doesn't happen. The Earth is not turning underneath an aeroplane. Therefore, it can't be turning underneath the gyroscope. Earth is not turning. If it was, we'd see apparent deflection. We'd see Coriolis deviation. They say we do. But we don't.
Because, if it happens with the ring laser gyro, then, it should happen with hot air balloons and planes.
Indeed. You'd take off in a hot air balloon and a different continent would just come to you as you float in the air, because you're not attached to a spinning reference frame of a claim to be ball Earth that spins. And it's claimed that reference frame of a ball Earth that spins underneath things that aren't attached to it, like gyros and pendulums and aeroplanes and drones and hot air balloons. Of course, none of those things that are in the air for any significant period of time actually show any drift at all ever, and flight times are not reduced, and continents don't come to hot air balloons as they hover. Drones don't drift away from their position, they just hover.
Oh, Nathan, that's the conservation of momentum. You're such a moron.
That's nothing to do with Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect isn't anything to do with conserving momentum. It's an apparent deviation. Momentum's not involved. You seeing a plane seem to curve has nothing to do with its momentum, and everything to do with you claim to be spinning underneath it. As I say, you seeing that apparent drift would be because it's claimed Earth's rotating underneath. Nothing to do with momentum being conserved.
But we wouldn't expect to see any apparent drift, Nathan, because the conservation of momentum negates that, Nathan. You're such an idiot.
Well, then you wouldn't have a proof of Earth turning. Conservation of momentum doesn't prove Earth turns. Coriolis effect is claimed.
We just can't tell. We just can't tell.
Well, then you can't prove it. You need Coriolis effect to prove Earth is spinning, not justify why we don't see it with conservation of angular or linear momentum. Those two things are not a deviation from the ground because you're spinning underneath stuff. That's not Coriolis. That's what you need to prove it spins. Not justify why we don't have it. Our argument is we don't have Coriolis as you claim we should if you're on the ball. And you saying, well, we wouldn't see it because it's just backing up my claim that we don't see it. And you're agreeing. Yeah. We don't see it then. We don't see proof Earth spins with Coriolis deviation then.
See, that's the point where I can't actually play ball Earther anymore, because that's the point where they've got to concede, but they never will, and they'll always weasel out of it and confuse matters and obfuscate the point. But they can't get out of it. If they don't see apparent drift from the Earth's perspective, then the Earth cannot be turning. And they argue all the reasons why they don't see it, but they should be arguing for the reasons why they do see it, but we don't actually see it. And that's the problem.
Well, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, all you got to do is kick a field goal.
Yeah, because the Earth turns underneath that, but not underneath planes.
Right.
If Earth turns underneath pendulums, gyroscopes, footballs and bullets, as asserted, to prove Earth is spinning, we see apparent drift, then we need to see apparent drift to prove Earth's turning. Because we don't see apparent drift in things like drones, aeroplanes, helicopters, it's then justified at trench level here in the debate by the globe side why we don't see drift, the very thing that's supposed to be proving we're spinning. So it's a justification for not seeing it. Not very good. Shout out to... can't read that. Bear with me a second. I've got somebody at my front door.
But see, Zanuck and them still say that we have it wrong and we don't understand Coriolis.
Well, they have to.
Yeah, I know.
They have to.
But yeah,
well, they can't say.
Whilst Nathan's answering the door, let me share with you a really bizarre scenario that I had last night with Kosho over on Emma UK's channel. There's going to be a repeat of this because it was glorious. Basically, Kosho, I call him Cosine because Kosho and Cosine sound similar. And he brought up an answer to a query from 12 months ago. And to be honest, I can't actually remember what the query was originally, but it was something to do with how he applied cosine. And back then I said that was wrong. Now, he cut 12 months down the line, which was yesterday. He brought this back, or it was brought up, and we went back to it. And I couldn't actually remember what the original fault was or the original claim, but I remember he did something wrong. So he obviously remembered it, and he had it stored in his little data bank in his mind. And he brought it back up and he flipped it on me, and he says, "Here we go, this is it." And I looked at it and I was like, "Kosho, you've still got it wrong." I said, "That's the wrong way round." I said, hang on, let me just double check this. So I went over a little bit of like high school trig. And I said, Kosho, you've got the sine and the cosine in the wrong place. I said, you've got them in the opposite place. That's wrong. So I knew he was wrong. So I called the Rumpus in to correct the mistake because I thought Rumpus should call out Kosho here and say, Kosho, you've got this wrong. So Rumpus comes in and we had a triangle on screen and we had it all set up the way that would be needed to be addressed by Rumpus. And rather than address the expressed triangle that was on screen, Rumpus wanted to tell us that the implied triangle that wasn't drawn, that wasn't on screen, that we weren't asking about, that would be correct. And I said, but Rumpus, we're not talking about the implied triangle that's not even there. We're talking about the expressed triangle that is there, that's the wrong way around. Can you address that and correct it? And he wouldn't do it. So rather than correct his friend, Rumpus dishonestly argued that, well, if we go with the implied triangle, then his diagram would be correct, which by expression means his diagram's wrong, because we're not asking about the indirect triangle, the inferred triangle. We're asking about the express triangle that was drawn on screen that he got wrong. So basically, Rumpus was arguing for dishonesty rather than correct his friend that had made a mistake. Now, when I make a mistake and I get the wrong photo and I do a video about it, I've got to put my hands up and say, do you know what? I got that wrong. And I deserve the jibs for it because I made a mistake. And we all get it wrong periodically. Nathan's got his stuff in the wrong in the past, and we've all done it, right? We all make mistakes. You've got to hold your hands up and say, do you know what? I made a mistake. But he wouldn't do it. And rather than Rumpus correct the mistake that he made, which is the honest thing that Rumpus needed to do, Rumpus found a little bit of wiggle room, exaggerated that wiggle room, and then tried to argue that he was more wrong than right, but there was a little bit of truth in his diagram, which was not even the point we were asking him to clarify. It was some other red herring point that was completely off topic that we didn't want the answer to. We wanted the answer to the question that we were asking. Rumpus would not correct his friend. He would rather defend his friend and stop his friend from looking like an idiot than tell the truth. And when you've got people that are on their side that won't ever make any concessions, ever, what kind of conversation can we have? Yet if I misspeak, or if I'd get a plus instead of a minus or whatever, I become dumb fuck of the year. But it never happens against them. It's disgusting. How can these ballers be honest and have any conversation when they won't be honest? Bad. I'm done.
Quick shout out to 9LX, who says, Sleeping Warrior, your lunch is ready.
It's intellectual
is it the sub sandwich?
I think it's somebody trying to dox him by way of super chat, actually.
Was that some kind of joke? I didn't even get that.
Yeah, it's another sub sandwich, your subs.
Yeah, somebody's put in what they think is your address as their name, and then super chatting £2 with let Sleeping Warrior know his lunch is ready.
Oh, right. Oh, well, get them to deliver it to me, and let's see if the doorbell rings.
Yeah, you picked the wrong topic, man. Saying that you've got a free lunch for Sleeping Warrior, that's just going to get him excited.
Yeah.
So about those subs that you bought, Sleeping Warrior.
Yeah.
I'm just preempting and hopefully free money. So it's super chat me to talk about it for the last week.
I knew you were doing that, but go on. This is gonna be good.
So how do we poke the bear to get super chats? I did not have sexual relations with that service. That was a classic line.
That's because I bought
could
it
see
in the
Nathan
delivery.
picking his way through the spelling of that, working out what.
I was trying to figure out what you were saying, but it's just a made-up word. But
yeah.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's hard to do it when it's speaking for myself as well, but I'm going to this time because you're actually here. You and I aren't that way inclined in terms of buying subs to boost your own ego about how popular you are or aren't. That's just
I realise that it's not a popularity contest in this topic. You're not going to be friends with everybody because some people can't take no for an answer. They can't take disagreement, and it's not about being popular. But if you think that it's about being popular, then subs are going to matter to you. But subs have never mattered to me. I'm not monetized. I don't have any obvious beneficial gains to buying subs. But if you want to think that I bought subs, keep sending the super chats and we'll keep reading them. I'm sure
Yeah,
Nathan would be grateful. and
See,
I'd really give it-
my timing. See, even the people who do these things, right? They're so predictable. So the guy was obviously typing out that super chat while I was saying that, because there it is, right on time. Bleeding Warrior, Sleeping Warrior bought his subs and likes 100%. Thanks very much for the super chat, Bleeding Warrior. No,
Yeah, shout out to Rude Earther.
I agree with you in terms of partially agree with you, because no, I am here for popularity. I want to be a successful YouTuber, so I absolutely want people to subscribe to me. Subscribe today. What I don't want people to do is subscribe with a sock account, because that just skews my stats. I don't want to know about random accounts that people subscribe to me with. That just ballses up my statistics. It means I haven't got a better idea of what's going on and what I can do, what's successful, what isn't successful, what's generating more interest, what isn't. That's what I need. And you can't do that with fake subs. Now, I know Anthony's not interested in the stats. He's literally not even interested in the stats, so why would he be interested in buying subs? If he's not fixated on the stats. Now, while I am interested in the stats, I'm interested in the watch time stat, because that's what YouTube are interested in. That's how I'll get more successful on this platform, by keeping my watch time minutes as high as possible. Not subscribers. They don't give a crap. YouTube don't care if you've got 10 million subscribers. If you don't get any views, if you don't get actual people watching, and that's all accounted for in watch time minutes. If you watch any tutorials about what YouTube want and how they want you to produce it, they want you to have your viewership sitting in front of their website as long as humanly possible. It's all about watch time, not subscribers. That's just purely people's own vanity. People who want to be perceived as more popular than they actually are. And while I want to be more popular, I don't want to be perceived to be more popular. That's useless. Another super chat from Bleeding Warrior. Yes/no, Sleeping Warrior, did you buy your subs? ? He's off getting his free lunch.
Too worried about fake subs and not worried about the loss of their geometric horizon. It's very sad to see them showing their pain.
Glad you're here, Chocolate. Yeah, meanwhile, we do not have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, as required in the geometric globe Earth model that you reify. But yeah, let's worry about whether or not Sleeping Warriors bought some subscribers, because that's critical information, that is. That's really, really pertinent.
Any evidence of a molten iron core?
No, the most preposterous question there is.
Any evidence that Sleeping Warrior bought subs?
That's a good point. Show me the receipt. Show me an invoice for subs. Then I'll believe you.
And not one. Show me subsequent receipts.
Right. Same goes for when people claim there's shills, right? I joke about it. I'll occasionally call people a J-trig, normally just to trigger the audience, which is a bit unfair. But by the same token, there's no proof of any of this. Babs's research and other people who've done the same, Infinite Plane Society is another one that discusses J-trigs and shows you his evidence. I think he's even had somebody discuss it firsthand. Infinite Plane Society, that is. I could be mistaken. Nevertheless, there's no evidence for it. You're not going to prove to me that Rumpus is a J-trig. No one's going to do that. Now, does that say he's not, or he is? No, I'm not. I don't know. But no one's providing any evidence to prove that these quote-unquote shills are paid agents of the state here to smear the truth. Now, that definitely happens. That is definitely going to be happening. But can we prove who it is? No. Likewise, this guy in the super chat, much as I appreciate the support, times are tough, he's got no evidence that Sleeping Warrior's done anything untoward. And it's totally off topic. It's just a distraction from the fact that we're obliterating the sphere Earth model and its lack of an R value.
Nathan.
Yes?
Why would they take abuse day after day if they're not getting paid?
I don't have a crystal ball. I can't divine people's motivation. I can't do that. Neither can you. Neither can anybody. You can't divine these people's motivation. Are they being paid to be here? Maybe. Prove it to me, though. Don't just speculate based on the fact that they're here day in, day out. If you're a religious fundamentalist zealot or you're part of a cult and somebody comes and challenges that, you'll defend it. Sometimes to the death. metaphorically speaking.
They have an obsession.
Say again, 10th man.
They have an obsession. If you take what Neil said, which has merit, and I take what you said, which has merit, until proof, we don't know if Neil's point is true or somewhere in between an obsession and Neil's point. So how many other topics on the internet have people trolling them the way we do? I'm sure there's more, right?
Yeah, I like it when other YouTubers whinge about the trolls that they get. They probably get 1/10 of 1% of the trolling that we get, right? We have become immune. Sleeping Warrior hopefully pipe in on this conversation, right? But we've become there you go, his mic's off. Go ahead, Sleeping Warrior.
I was just making a brew. I was receiving my delivery from Subway. Thanks, Ranty. It was interesting. I saw a comment from Ranty, and he said something like, "Get him to swear on the Bible." Right? I have a Bible. I own a Bible. I'm not religious. I'm neutral when it comes to religion. And the interesting point was he said Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, Riley was on about them two swearing on the Bible. He should do it too. I don't think he understands that the reason why Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong were asked to swear on the Bible is because those two they're both men of faith. Neil Armstrong's a Christian guy and Buzz Aldrin's some kind of similar Christian. He's not an actual Christian. He's similar, but they're both religious, right?
No. You got this all wrong.
Go on.
Okay. Just like Nathan said to Neil, you don't know the motive. Now, many people who go to court put their hand on the Bible and they're told to swear on the Bible. Now, this is totally so crazy and ridiculous because the state doesn't even allow you to have a Bible in the schoolroom to teach anymore. And the official religion is atheism in college, basically. So now for them to put their hands on a book that they don't believe in and swear by it is the height of hypocrisy. So it's just a Photoshop image for the rest of America that does believe in the Bible so that you can say, oh, they must be telling the truth. Well, Neil Armstrong didn't tell the truth, and Buzz Aldrin definitely, with his pyramid hand signs, is not a Christian.
He is some kind of...
Yeah, well, that's why none of them wanted to put their hand on the Bible. I mean, Bart Sprell caught a fist to the mouth because he didn't put his hand on the Bible. So... And one of them was going to, and then when Bart Sprell told him, "Oh, this might be classified as treason if you're lying," he was like, "Oh, well then, no, I won't put my hand on the Bible." I mean, it's ridiculous.
Presbyterian. Buzz Aldrin is a Presbyterian, whatever that is. It's some spin-off.
No,
that's hold on. Okay. There's more important things going on. The Bleeding Warrior sends £5 and says, "If Sleeping Warrior puts his hand on a Bible and says he never bought subs or likes from a company, I will send in £100 super chat." Have you got your camera?
What?
I might earn £100 today.
Camera now.
You got your camera? You got your Bible?
I have the Bible, but I don't have the camera.
Oh, you're joking! Oh, God damn you!
No, he'll get it. He'll get him here.
I do have the Bible. It's here, but I don't have the camera set up yet.
That's useless. Let's move on.
Yeah, but Sleeping Warrior, I gave you Matthew chapter 5, right?
Well, yeah. So read Matthew. Let me read it. I'll read it.
Yeah.
I'll read it verbatim from this.
No, this is no good. I don't want this. No. Unless you've got a camera with you showing it, I'm not interested. No, I don't want you to read a passage from it to prove you've got your hand on the Bible. I want to see it.
No, Matthew, no, it's not about that. It's about it's about the words. Let me find it. What was the reference? Matthew what?
I think it was 5:34. I can't remember, but try that.
While you're looking that up, any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
It's over there.
Okay, Matthew 5:33. It says, "Oh, under the heading oaths." It says, "Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not break your oath." In other words, if you say, "I'm going to give someone all the super chats," that's an oath. So it says, "Do not break your oath, but keep your oaths you have made to the Lord. But I tell you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head. You cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. So because I'm being asked to do something beyond that, who is the evil one in this context? Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, but I might get $100 out of it.
Well, I can't show it. Yeah.
Well, I think if you delay this more, you'll get more than £100 because every time Sleeping Warrior comes here, you're getting something. This can go on forever.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, right?
£100 now or £2 a day?
That's what happens when I try and turn my camera on at the minute. I've just got a red screen because I don't actually have it attached. You'll have to double or quits next show. Whoever you are, Bleeding Warrior, make it 200 and I'll sort it. I'll make it happen.
Look, to be honest, I don't want your money for this. I've known Sleeping Warrior long enough, and I've said it a dozen times now. There is absolutely no way on God's green earth that Sleeping Warrior's bought subs. No, it just isn't.
How would I prove the negative anyway? Because like, if I showed a bank statement, right, and it's not on there, it doesn't mean I've not used somebody else's card to do it. I mean, what evidence could I ever produce that you would ever accept anyway?
You've already been asked. The standard's been laid down. Put your hand on a Bible. Your camera's now not working. Very suspicious, if you ask me.
It's not even. I don't even have it at this place. Right, I'll sort it. I'll sort it. If he doubles down on it and doubles it to 200, I'll make it happen the next time I'm in.
Sure, but like I say, it's for me personally. As much as I want £100, which I do.
Was it dollars?
This isn't necessary. I don't need to see you swear on the Bible that you haven't bought subs. Even before I'd even spoken to you when it was brought up, I was like, that's just a load of old nonsense.
I mean, my first thought was, what would be in it for me, right? And there is no obvious immediate answer. But Emma UK explained it to me. She said, nah, it's not about the subs, it's about the likes. He said, if you get subs, that tells people that there's something there to look at. And then they found the likes, and that controls the narrative. So it makes it look like you're winning. And I said, but it's not a popularity contest settled by YouTube, which is the paradox. So if you think that this is going to be settled by YouTube's popular consensus, then subs and likes are going to matter to you. And I don't really give a shit about them, right? But someone really matters, really cares about them. I wonder why. It's got nothing to do with popularity on YouTube, guys.
Yeah, it's all about the arguments.
That's what they would like it to be, instead of focusing on the loss of their radius.
Precisely.
The loss of their no Coriolis effect. There no vacuum in space. They have to do all this nonsense because of that.
Yes.
Yeah, because all this sounds like to me.
Yeah, chocolate.
Right. I wanted to offer an alternative theory concept as to the sub situation with Tony, because I could think of one single thing as to why this has happened, even though it's not literally happened, but just because this rumor has been spread that Sleeping Warrior has bought subs, which has no relevance to anything whatsoever. There's now a lot more talk about Sleeping Warrior and that he could have potentially bought subs.
Exactly.
So
Chocolate
this is just an attention stunt, isn't it?
That's what Chocolate just said precisely, Arwen. I'm glad you went on to reiterate what Chocolate said. Perfect. Yes, exactly. Well, are we talking about the natural law violation that is the sky vacuum? No, we're talking about subs. Check it out. Bleeding Warrior. Ask him to swear on the Bible. No camera. It right now. I'll give you $20. Ah, what about 100? Oh. Hold on. Let me just finish. Hold on. Hold on. The guy has paid for a super chat. I will read it out. He needs to say, quote, I never paid a company for subs and likes, end quote. You're saying don't do it on a camera. You've got your Bible with you now. Read another quick passage from it to verify it if that's what he's satisfied with. And apparently that'll make me £20. Wonderful.
Right, I'll pick to one random one somewhere in the middle. Right, this one says, Job chapter 9, verse 2. Indeed, I know that it is true, but how can a mortal be righteous before God? Though I wished one to dispute with him, though one wished to dispute with him, he could not answer one. He could not answer him one time out of 1,000. Job 9, chapters 2 and verse 2 and 3. I did not. I never paid a company for subs and likes. 20 quid super chat right now.
You were going to say the Bill Clinton line, weren't you?
I was.
He almost did.
It was, what was it? Job 9, was it?
9-2. Read it again.
Bleeding Warrior, just for the record, you don't have to give me $20 for that. Like I say, Rakia Life's giving me $100 anyway.
Wow.
Thank you very much for the
Let me
super
read
chat.
it again, just in
Shout
case
out
it
to
happens to be
Rakia
out.
Life. Hold on 1 second. I'll give you money not to swear on the Bible. God is good. There is power in his name, Rakia Life. Indeed, Rakia Life. And as I was just saying before you super chatted, there's no need to give me £20 for that. You know, Anthony's an honest guy. I know he's an honest guy. I don't need $20 or him swearing on the Bible, as I've said all along.
Let me read that paragraph again, just in case it happens to be relevant. It says, "Indeed, I know that it is true, but how can a mortal be righteous before God? Though one wished to dispute with him, he could not answer him one time out of 1,000."
Interesting that you just opened the Bible and it's that verse.
Maybe I'm missing something. How is it relevant? Maybe I'm just not paying enough attention to what the words are.
Let me read it again.
It's the first verse.
Indeed, that I know that it is true, but how can a mortal be righteous before God? In other words, are you saying that swearing on the Bible has no effect?
No.
We're
talking about how the scripture says, just let your yes be yes and your no be no, and don't be swearing on the don't swear. You don't, because that's you. Liars normally swear is the whole point. I swear I didn't steal that. Okay.
I don't read it as that. I hear what I heard in that is if you're going to try and imply that you are somehow a righteous being, you're not. Don't kid yourself. Before God, you're just pathetic. That's how I see it. Not the pathetic bit, but just by comparison, so people understand the context. So it's saying, don't pretend for 1 second that you're a righteous person. You're not. Nobody is.
No, I know. I wasn't commenting on that. I was commenting on the previous reading. And then he says, I'm just going to open up the Bible, randomly put my finger on it. And he goes to, what was it?
Job
9:2? Oh,
9:2.
Job. Oh,
Job.
you said Proverbs. Did you say
Are you
Job
going
or
to talk
Proverbs?
about flat Earth?
Yeah, I was just about to ask, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Hang on a minute. He said that he still has sworn the
Ingredient.
Bible. He avoids it. I did exactly verbatim what you said. What did he
What's
say?
going on? He still never swore on the Bible. He avoids it. Yeah, he did.
He
Just
needs
didn't
to
see it on
say,
camera.
I never paid a company for likes and subs. That's exactly what I said.
This is what Raki is pointing out. This is now going to start poisoning this act. So, yeah, I agree with Dave. Look, he's saying, I'll give you money not to swear on the Bible. What we're doing now is we're belittling this because somebody's super chatting. It's pathetic. That said, smash the super chat, support this channel. Right, let's move on. The dude in the Discord channel. So, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container? I assume by your tone that you're a globehead who believes the sky's a vacuum. Keen to talk about nature of reality a minute ago, mate.
His sound's not coming through, Nathan.
My sound?
The guy talking.
Yeah, it is.
I don't hear it.
It's because he's not saying anything.
Oh.
Said, are you talking to me now?
You were the guy that said, are we going to talk about flat Earth?
Yeah.
Any evidence that the sky is a vacuum?
The sky isn't a...
Sorry, you're answering your own question then. Looks like we're not going to have a conversation about flat Earth then.
Well, he interrupted Job 9:2, and I wasn't done yet, and then he doesn't even talk.
10. You are taking the Bible and... Stop doing that.
Oh,
sorry, you just asked us if we wanted to talk about flat Earth and you've immediately changed it back. I realise that 10th Man wants to, but I thought you wanted to talk about
Nathan,
the nature of the world
I
we're
didn't
living
change
in.
it back. It was 10th Man. I was just answering his query.
What?
Okay.
Can you talk
So, any evidence that the sky is a vacuum, dude?
about whatever it is that you want to?
I don't assert the sky is a vacuum, Nathan.
Do you believe you live
You
on a
do that.
sphere? Doesn't matter what you assert, it's part of the rhetoric.
It's part of your rhetoric.
No, it's not. I'm not a globe Earth believer. I don't think the sky is a
Well,
vacuum.
I've just said I don't assert it. And I don't think anyone else asserted.
Did you hear my reply to that?
You
You don't need to repeat it. I replied. You just ignored my reply. Did you hear my reply when you said it the first time?
Nathan, you need to calm the fuck down. Sorry,
Stop swearing at me. I'm not in any way uncalm. I'm asking if
Nathan,
you
just
heard
calm
my
down
response
and
and now you're talking through me, presumably because you want to wind me up. It's becoming irritating. I've responded to you.
Is it winding you up,
I'll
Nathan?
try again. It'll never succeed because you're triggered. So I'll try again. Let's see how I get
triggered.
on. There he is interrupting me
You
again.
raised your
We've only
voice
been talking
slightly.
for 2 seconds and you've ignored my point. Now you're talking through my attempt to reassert the same point. Okay, mate, I'll try again. So it doesn't matter what you assert. It's part of the heliocentric rhetoric. It matters not that you haven't asserted it. That's part of the religion. So it doesn't matter. If you're a globe believer, that's part of your religion. Doesn't matter if you like it or assert it. It's part of the rhetoric. Maybe ignore it a second time. Let's see how we get on.
Could you repeat the question, Nathan?
It wasn't a question, it was a statement of fact. It matters not that you have not asserted that the sky is a vacuum. It's a fundamental premise of the heliocentric religion. If you are a globe believer, it is part of your religion whether you assert it or not. That's not a question, it's a statement of fact.
You asked me to answer the question.
Yeah, any evidence that the sky is a vacuum as per your religious belief? That we're on a sphere
You asked me
flying
that
through a
question,
vacuum?
and I said I don't assert it.
Well, that matters not if it's part of the religion. We're going
Well,
round
if you're
in circles.
asking me that question, it does matter, doesn't it, Nathan?
Oh, so you don't believe the sky is a vacuum then? Welcome to Flat Earth.
No, because the sky isn't a vacuum.
Yeah, we know. It can't possibly be a vacuum. That would be a violation of natural law. If the sky was a vacuum, as per the heliocentric religion of a ball in a vacuum, then the gas we're breathing would fill the space. So yeah, I agree with you. The sky is definitely not a vacuum.
It is not a vacuum.
Yeah, we agree. The heliocentric model has the sky as a vacuum, though, regardless of whether or not you assert it. It's good that you also agree the sky is not a vacuum as per the heliocentric religion, though. It's good that you agree.
I don't think well, I don't know about the heliocentric values, but
Well, then shut up. So why are you asking us to debate a subject you've got no clue about? And what, you think we care about your opinion? No, we don't. The heliocentric worldview is held by about 95% of the Western world. Your opinion matters not. It's just your one man's opinion about what you think the sky is. I don't assert my opinion about what the sky is. I've got an opinion. I don't assert it, though. There's no need. There is, however, a definite worldview religious assertion that the sky is a vacuum, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with that assertion. It's irrelevant. Your opinion of what the sky is doesn't matter to us.
no, I want a citation that 95% of the world believes it's a vacuum, Nathan.
That's part of the religious worldview of the heliocentric model. 95%, like all statistics, are pretty much made up on the spot. I think it's 66.4% of all statistics are actually made up on the spot.
Where's your citation, Sunshine?
It's part of the religion. You think I need to prove that 95% of the Western world believe the sky is a vacuum? 95% of the Western world would be anybody with a television set that is under the impression they're on a spinning ball flying through a vacuum. If I ask any man on the street if he believes in outer space, the answer's yes, because he's polluted with television shows that tell him the sky is a vacuum. I don't need to prove that that is part of the rhetoric. You're just a dumb idiot if you think that it's not part of the rhetoric to have a sky vacuum. Outer space is, according to your religion, the most powerful vacuum that you can have. Okay, mate? Doesn't matter whether or not you think I need to prove that that is the religious worldview of a globe believer. It is.
I'm not saying that.
I don't care what you're saying. Your opinion matters not to me. You're a dumb moron. It doesn't matter what you assert.
Whoa.
No, not whoa, whoa. It doesn't matter that your opinion differs from the heliocentric worldview. That matters not.
Nathan, scientists come on your show and they say they don't believe the sky is a vacuum.
Sorry, outer space is called a vacuum. It's a scale. At the top of that scale, for how powerful a vacuum is, outer space is right at the top of the list, just before something that doesn't exist and cannot be recreated, which would be a perfect vacuum. But the most powerful vacuum, according to the religious fundies who believe they're on a globe, is outer space. That's the most powerful vacuum. Now, it isn't. The sky can't possibly be a vacuum because the gas we breathe would fill that space if it was a vacuum. So it definitely isn't.
Nathan.
Sorry, mate, you're not addressing anything I'm saying. That would be to say that we are in agreement. The sky is not a vacuum.
The sky is not a vacuum.
Excellent. We are in agreement then. It's
Welcome
still
to the
asserted
leather.
by the heliocentric model that it's a vacuum, even though you apparently are on that side and somehow trying to get me to prove that it's a vacuum. When I don't make that claim, I debunk that claim by pointing out that if it was a vacuum, as per the heliocentric religion, the gas we're breathing would fill the space.
Nathan, calm down and listen to what I'm saying. No one is asserting it's a vacuum. So
Yeah, they are. It's part of the heliocentric religion. So I keep telling
Guys,
you
for
that
real?
outer space is supposed to be a vacuum. That's part of your religion. It doesn't matter what your opinion is.
no, I'm saying you're asking.
Yeah, I know you're saying. We don't care what you're saying. You're a nobody. It doesn't change the religion of heliocentrism and its sky vacuum that you're saying you don't believe in. I don't care what you believe in. That's still part of the religious rhetoric of a sphere Earth.
Apparently, if I was a somebody,
Maybe this is simply the
The
next
sky-
step. Maybe this is the
if
next
I was a
step
somebody,
of-
would the
No,
sky
we
be a
never had
vacuum
a
or would it
sky
not be a vacuum? I
The
don't.
sky is not a
I don't-
vacuum. That violates natural law. So no, it doesn't matter who you are. You can't violate the second law of thermodynamics. It's inviolable. So no, the sky's definitely not a vacuum, regardless of the opinions or beliefs in a heliocentric model that says it is.
Nathan, I think you're triggered.
Oh, really?
Ah,
I'm really
Projector.
calm. Do you need me to stick my camera on just to show how calm I am? I'm groovy, mate.
No, Nathan, we
Not
can't
in the
handle
slightest
it.
bit
Not your
triggered.
triggered face. No.
Arwen, this guy is projecting.
So, yeah, I'm all good, mate. Meanwhile, the sky is not a vacuum.
I like to ask him what the Carmen line is to him.
And you sound like a Kermit the Frog.
What's the
It's a
Carmen
good
line?
impression of Kermit, isn't it?
What's the Carmen line to you?
Who's this?
He's asking what the
I don't
Carmen
know.
line is.
This guy in chat sounds like a guy who just got
Why-
stepped.
why
on
are you
the dick
changing
and
the
doesn't know what
What's
subject?
to
the
do now.
Carmen line?
I
in your
didn't ask
globe
about the
mean?
Carmen line.
No, you're being asked
I'm
about the
asking
Carmen
you.
line
Yeah, but why am I being asked about it?
because you said you
Why
don't
do
think
you
the sky
think-
is a vacuum, and therefore you're being asked about a
I
specific
don't think the
location.
sky is a vacuum.
I'm not through asking you a
And-
question.
and
Can
what
you
do
wait?
you
Can
mean-
you wait
what
till I
do you mean
finish?
by the
Can you
sky
wait till I
anyway?
finish speaking? Thank you.
What do you mean by the
Yeah,
sky?
that means shut up. So
Keep
you're
up with
being,
the
you're
flat
being
earth
sorry, mate,
debate, you meatball.
mate. I'm going to eject
Wait,
you if you
listen,
continually
I
talk
was the
through
one
me.
who
I'm going to give
started
you
the
one
flat
last
earth
opportunity
debate
to
going
stop
again.
talking
Yous
through
were
me. Then I'm
talking
going to
about
remove you.
anti-rally
This is your last
stuff
chance to stop talking through
on a
me.
flat
Last chance.
earth debate show.
Last
Shut up,
chance.
troll.
If you talk through this sentence,
Oh,
you're
last
going to be
chance.
removed.
Are you
Right,
gonna
that's
block
it.
me again,
Bye-bye.
Nathan?
Goodbye.
'Cause I actually don't care.
Goodbye. If you can't tolerate having a question's justification explained to you, then I'm going to remove you because all you're doing is causing a commotion, claiming that I'm triggered while you talk through every word that's put to you. So no, that's not going to be tolerated. Goodbye. Gave him plenty of opportunity to stop talking through me. He chose not to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway,
That guy was
he
just
interrupted.
talking like he just got stepped on the dick and didn't know what to do next. And no more arguments.
Hey, clown.
Is that the circumdicular world he stepped on?
It shows up here.
Circumdicular
The-
worldview.
Okay, hold on. Let's hold off the Dick Earth jokes. I'll read out Bleeding Warrior Super Chat as he's paid £20 for it. Debate 1184, the one where Sleeping Warrior lied on the Holy Bible. Evidence, if needed, of how he will go. That God's name to him means nothing. All you is that Christians? Christians out there, remember this. The truth will be exposed soon.
Sure, it
Let me-
will, Ranty. Sure it
let
will.
me share something. I had a talk with Sleeping Warrior before about this. Now, Sleeping Warrior has admitted he's not a follower
Jesus
of
Christ.
Christ, so he's not a Christian. So that last thing has no bearing I shared with Sleeping Warrior what the Bible said about swearing, just so he would have context, because somebody asked him, I believe it was Ranty, to do it. So I said, well, if you're not even a Christian and you own the Bible, it doesn't even, I mean, what's there to say? Okay, so now the verse that he put his finger on that triggered this globy is very interesting in Job 9:2, and I'll finish up real quick here. The first statement, yes, I know this is true. In another version, indeed, I'm fully aware that this is so. In another version, I know it is so of a truth. And then I'll finish up here. So what, hang on, I just lost my place. I know verily that it is so. In the first statement, the guy is just saying a statement. He's not swearing. He's just said, this is true. This is true. This is true. He's not swearing. It's interesting that he put his finger on something that someone could swear to as the truth, but doesn't swear. That was uncanny, wonderful. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sleepy Mario.
Yeah, the bit that Ranty misses is that because the two guys that were being asked to swear in the Bible were religious, it means something to them, two people individually. But I don't consider myself to be religious, even though I have a Bible. I don't consider myself to be religious. I don't read it. I have it because it was given to me when I was a kid. But it doesn't have the same effect if you're not a guy of religion. So that's like me swearing on the Quran. I'm not a Quran worshipper or follower, so it's not going to have any effect. Just saying.
We got some funny memes in Master B, but I'd like to go on the other thing I posted there once you're ready, Nathan.
Yeah, sure.
You want to show the memes first?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I've got the 8 more subs for Riley up already.
Hey!
And then let's just stick this one up. This one says, Subway, pick and mix subs for Riley. A whole shop full.
Can somebody do something about my number of subs? Because I'm still set at 70-20, exactly like the last 2 months.
70-20.
Yeah,
Bitch,
70-20, exactly.
Bitch, find your own street corner. This is my corner.
Shut up.
70-20.
Shut up, fool. I run for you.
Owen, do you mean that you dropped below 1,000?
I got 1,720 subs, and it has been exactly 70-20 for the last 2 months.
This isn't going to end. Subscribe to Arwin. He does a show every single day. He does it at 1 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time. That's 1 hour before Flat Earth Debate daily, Monday to Sunday, every single day. So be here or be sphere for Flat Earth Early Bird. That's on the Arwin channel. ARWIJN.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it. Yeah, today I actually had like live underground journalism. Like Rasta was in the middle of like this weird police situation in the background. So yes, you never really know what happens on the Early Bird show. Could just be me talking passionately or a bit bored maybe. And sometimes, all kinds of things happen.
And that's on Arwin. Hold on. ARWIJN. So if you're watching this on a MP3 or listening to us on MP3, you can find him by spelling ARWIJN.
So, Nathan, if you notice, I put a few pictures and then a website. The website is National Geodetic Survey website. And when you go to that, it says hybrid geoid models, gravimetric geoid models, hybrid deflection of vertical models, and gravimetric deflection of the vertical models. That's on the actual website. Then I put the pictures, screenshots. If you see those, let me know.
Yeah, I've got east-west deflections currently up.
Yeah, there's the map.
You want the map up? Okay, yeah, got that up.
Well, just show the map first, and then we'll read the little segment.
Okay, it's up.
Okay, so he's all right. Is that the one I showed? I see something there, but that's Arwin's channel.
Yeah, that was just me showing I got 70-20 subscribers.
Yeah, I'm not presenting it in the Hangout. It's going out to the audience. So I've got this NGS.
I got you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to read the first thing underneath it, and this is from Noah. East-West Deflections Vertical ETA USDO whatever 2009 is a companion product derived from the 209 gravimetric geoid model, keyword model, and represents the deflections of the vertical at the surface of the Earth. These quantities are typically a few arc seconds, but can reach an arc minute of departure. The deflection of vertical is the departure of a plumb bob's actual pointing from the ellipsoidal normal direction. Deflections are used to relate the orientation of a locally leveled instrument, such as a theodolite, to a spatial reference system, and on and on and on about zenith thing. So this was interesting coming off the last few shows about plumb bob and local measurements. It's all models.
Did you want the last slide as well? There's one more before Riley subs.
I mean, it's there. It just talks about the same thing. I just wanted to show that in one sentence, they bring in models because it's not reality. Then they say it's a departure from plumb bob's actual pointing from the ellipsoidal normal direction. It's very interesting coming off the last few shows about how geodetics and what they do with their tangential plane. I thought you might have a kick seeing it, that they actually saying it's not a plumb bob, but it should be.
I love it. Yeah, perfect. Still got a couple of housekeeping questions, if anybody doesn't object. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
The scientific hypothesis?
Is there any other kind?
Well, if they're going to follow the scientific method, that stops with observation in those fields, right? Because they can't manipulate the independent variable.
That's correct. It doesn't change the fact that they have the banner of science above their door. So in this context, while you might state, when I say, is there any other context? Well, no, not in this particular variety. They need science. They're claiming to be science. So they're going to need scientific hypotheses, not colloquial ones.
Nope.
Well, at least we got through all the housekeeping questions.
Yay.
Shout out to Nathan's apprentice for getting the molten iron core in there.
Nathan, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Nathan Thompson. Clear as crystal for a change.
Hey, Nathan.
Excellent. I just wanted to say one more thing about the Bible thing. I mean, even if you are religious, guys, asking someone who's religious to swear on a book that says not to swear is pointless. Because if they're really religious, they'll say, well, my Bible tells me not to swear. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because they can say, well, you won't swear on the Bible. Well, because my Bible tells me not to swear. So, but I'm glad we got through the housekeeping questions. I wasn't trying to be redundant. I just thought that was important.
You know who else says that? I think it's Isa Mihalski that was the first to highlight that. So check out Isa Mihalski. Quantum Racer pointed out the other day that you called him a terrorist sympathizer, which is where he got that term from. He got it from you, describing Isa Mihalski. Shout out to Isa, he's a great guy.
Who, me? Yeah, Isa Mihalski, yeah. A terrorist sympathizer. Where were we before we got sidetracked?
Nathan Thompson just pointed out that you shouldn't swear on a book that's specifically outlined in the book that you shouldn't swear on it. He's just reiterating that point.
Yeah, and the whole reason they're even talking about it is because they got their R value destroyed, space is fake, it's a cartoon, they have a goofy religion, and we point it out every single day, and I think you're some of the best in the world at it. Congratulations!
Oh, thank you very much.
That's what's up, Nathan.
For those of you who don't know who Nathan Thompson is, Nathan Thompson's on the cutting edge of gritty exposure of this subject.
If anyone's on Facebook, I run the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion. There's 134,000 members according to the algorithms, but I don't trust those either. So anyone counting subs is wasting your time. Guys, come on, wake up. This is insane what's going on right now. So if you trust these algorithms and think subs are important, I feel sorry for you right now.
I'll give you $20 to put your hand on the Bible and prove you didn't buy those algorithmic subscribers.
Shout out to Geoparty.
Quick shout out to Cleary. All of the subs came from the 200 members of the Jupiter-sized Earth Society.
Brilliant. Oh,
Nice.
that's so good.
That's classic.
Nice.
Shout out to Cleary.
There's
Thank you very
probably a
much.
lot more population, on Jupiter-sized Earth.
Cleary actually does some good
What
videos.
do you mean Jupiter sized?
I'm just trying to Cleary.
Jupiter
One
is
sec, one
about
sec.
43,000 miles. The
Yeah.
radius of the Black Swan, if taken at 10 miles, that's 264,000 miles.
Yeah, it's much bigger than
Big
Jupiter.
difference.
It's the orbital path of the moon. That becomes the R value, or the circumference would be the orbital path of the moon, as claimed in the heliocentric model. So it's not just a tiny little difference. The Black Swan, if it's still going to be a geometric horizon, as opposed to we don't see the geometric horizon, then yeah, you've got a globe Earth that's the size of their claimed path that the moon takes.
Well,
It's
then,
actually
Nathan,
slightly
that
bigger.
would take care of the space in between.
Yeah, that would all be Earth. But like I say, it's actually slightly bigger than that orbital path, but that's the closest, thing that you can visualize.
Oh, that was
Just a
a
quick
stab at the previous scholar who got kicked off when he says he didn't believe in the space. Whereas
Yeah, exactly.
covered orbit.
Just another shout out to Cleary. Cleary's also a YouTuber, so he does some really good pieces to camera. He's on camera basically sharing his thoughts. Good guy. Check him out. So go subscribe to Cleary. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, or Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. As I say, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. Huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm real. It's the best decision ever, Nathan, to slow it back down to normal, because you were like over speeding it up at first, but that ruins the quality of the song.
Oh, the intro. Yeah, it did. It completely ruined it when I sped it up. So I took out a section. I obviously sped up certain sections of it just to squeeze it into a 29 or whatever it is, 27-second intro. But the sound I took from the original that Adam made and just chopped out that length, like 27 seconds, and just slapped that straight on top of the new shortened edited video clips. So in other words, the music still runs at the original speed and it sounds good, as opposed to when you speed it up and it all gets compressed and there's suddenly no bass and a load of distortion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm well chuffed with that intro that Adam made. Go on, Nathan.
So, Nathan,
can you hear me?
Oh, go on.
Yeah, we hear you.
Hey, do you know what the most powerful vacuum?
Go on, tell me.
Space between Rumpus's ears.
Hey, Nathan Thompson, there was a guy in this after show earlier named Dr. John D, and that was his real name.
Oh, did Dr. John D come in? Cool.
So, Nathan, that citation to Noah, NOAA government site. Everything is a model to them. And when you said the other day, you have your X, which denotes the geometric horizon, the physical sphere edge, on your model, but we can't see it. Now we go to this other topic, which is gravitational deflection. And it says it's on the model, and they even say it doesn't do what the plumb bob does. So another fictitious statement for their sphere. Everything is based on the model that doesn't relate or match to reality on every topic.
Can I
All
jump in
this
on that real
talks of
quick?
models and
Gravitational?
axes is making me sad.
Go on, Arwin. Then
Can
someone
I
wanted
jump in?
said they wanted to jump in. Can you just repeat that, Arwin? Then there's someone who wants to pipe it.
Just had a boom boom moment. Is just saying that all this talk of axes and models is making me sad and nostalgic.
Oh, you missed the old times. Go on, whoever it was in Discord. Yes, feel free to pipe up.
Okay, hey, this is Depressed Don. I'd like to continue on presenting evidence for logic being stronger than the math from my people we were talking to earlier. Because, like, I'm a nobody. I know nothing about this. I'm not going to know the math, right? But let me show what my logic understands of this. They have the plumb bob in the air, am I correct?
Who are you addressing this to?
Whoever is referencing the geodetic survey stuff with the ground level and the plumb bob.
Well, the plumb bob
I
is
don't-
not in the. Well, do you want me to answer or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever used the plumb bob? He's breaking up.
He's just very quiet. Can you get a bit closer to your mic, Preston?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when I was hanging wallpaper for a time, we would use the plumb bob, and we would attach it to the wall and wait until it just was still, and there was our vertical. Now go on.
Right. So, but what I'm saying here, I'm just going to put a guess on what they're doing here. They have something on the ground that is level because it's on the ground for some reason, and or for it's the starting reference point. But then, aren't they putting satellites in the air, and aren't the plumbs coming off the satellites, and then they're measuring the difference?
Plumbs off satellites?
Totally.
How do you get a plumb on a satellite?
Hold on. Is your question, Preston? Is your question in regards to plumb bobs from satellites? That's what it sounded like.
I definitely looked into some stuff, and I've seen them using satellites to measure something. I don't know what he's referencing.
I see. Right. Okay. So the WGS-84 has been established from various different NASA flights that they've took to assess the land. Obviously, they're going to claim that that is a spherical reference point, their datum, the WGS-84. So what the geodetic surveyors do is they take that datum and plot out where they are on a sphere before they've done anything. So that point, let's say it's England, they'll draw out a zenith, which is like a line coming out the top of your head, and that point will then have a flat plane mapped out from that centre point. And when they do any measurements, all of the axioms and principles that are going to be applied to those measurements are going to be standard principles, Euclidean geometry. Now, those principles are going to be applied to what they call a tangent plane, meaning tangent, they've presupposed their position as per their datum, and from there on in, they assess the land as flat. So tangent is where they're getting the satellite bit, is where they're making their presupposition based on what is asserted in their datum, WGS-84.
Okay. Well, just for the intro that my man read right here, I'm just envisioning different apparatus. I have no idea what the apparatus is that they're collecting this data. But I think talking about that and laying that out and then showing how they have these localized apparatuses and then it's, compounded out, right? We can discover and present exactly how big the network chain is and show if it's quilted or if it's actually modeled as a full globe.
To answer the first part of your question, the tools they use are showing the same thing for any other surveyor. They're using the same axioms, Euclidean geometry, so the tools don't show any different. That's something that's been revealed, well, for me at least, in the last week. So when people on the globe side of the argument assert that plumb bobs move to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, well, that's not an axiom that their surveyors hold true to. That's simply not the case. No surveyor is going to back them in that.
Right. Well, we know the plumb bobs go down. Now, would you hear me? Could you read that one statement that you read again from that website, sir?
Sure. The deflection of the vertical is the departure of a plumb bob's actual pointing from the ellipsoidal normal direction. Deflections are used to relate the orientation of a locally leveled instrument, such as a theodolite, to a spatial reference system. Important uses are corrections to zenith distance, vertical angle measurements, and conversion between astronomic and ellipsoidal azimuths, the Laplace correction.
Right. So they have the local instruments such as the theodolite, and then they're measuring. Should we talk about how they're measuring this plumb bob's deflection? How is this plumb bob set up? How are they measuring the deflection? And then,
Well,
what is it
this
worth
whole
on a
thing
macro
came
scale?
up. Let me give you the title: Gravitational deflection. You see the whole point there?
Like what is that even?
Their presupposition.
It's not.
They're describing the deviation from the actual, which is what plumb bobs give them, described by them, where is it, as locally levelled.
Yeah, I'm saying, are you familiar with what an observation of this kind would look like? What the deviation of what would actually be observed as a deviation?
Yeah, their presupposition of the zenith that they draw each time they start their plotting. So long as they stick within the confines of what the WGS84 asserts, they're working out their zenith point when they move. I recently saw a claim from somebody who left me a comment that geodetic surveyors are measuring plumbs, not moving, being parallel with one another, but actually moving to the presupposed centre of a spherical Earth. So I thought, well, that's interesting. Let's have a look and see what this surveyor is actually doing. He's putting his lantern on the ground and then doing his calculations based on his zenith. Well, where does he get his zenith angle from? Well, he gets that from his presupposition that he's on a ball. So when he's comparing what he says the two different zeniths differ from, he's only comparing what his presupposition says he's at when he moves his lantern, because he's a geodetic surveyor. So each time he moves, he's plotting out a new zenith angle based on his presupposition. So all they're doing is confirming their own presupposition when they do this. They're not actually measuring anything. Certainly hasn't got a plumb bob in any of these examples, not the one I saw. They're not measuring any plumb bobs, that's for damn sure. I'm not actually showing this because it doesn't happen. Plumb bobs run parallel.
Right. And I mean, okay, so I appreciate that, you guys. And it's like, this is what ballers need to do if they want to, come in here and present stuff and everything. They need to come in here and bust this stuff out, man. You know what I mean? I don't hear none of them doing it. And I'd like to talk about observation, I think, easily collected. Like if you had like satellites with tails or just balloons with tails, you know what I'm saying? And you had some sensors at the top and bottom of the tails, and you had a couple of these objects and started moving them apart, man, you'd be able to figure out if you had a flat plane or something started going around the hemisphere of the Earth.
Well, it translates into 8 inches per mile squared. So we would all see it. Yeah. Nathan and I and you and everyone here have been on plane flights, and we can't see it. And according to their high priest, Neil deGrasse Tyson, even at 120,000 feet, it's flat. So where's this curve?
No, they got a little bit. They got, some stuff on the water, and all right, I'm with you.
No, that requires no. I've got a love-hate relationship with that particular piece of magic from Neil deGrasse Tyson, while he holds a beach ball and tells you that you can't see the curve of the Earth from 1 millimetre above the beach ball. And he's reifying that beach ball into having a geometric horizon, which it would if you were an ant on that beach ball. But then he's juxtaposing that with the flight or the ascension that Felix Baumgartner took, and saying you wouldn't see the curve from that height, 120,000 feet. Well, what he's doing that's a little magic trick. It's making anybody who listens to that, if you're a flat earther, you go, he's saying it's flat, and that's what you'll focus on. But what he's actually doing is getting you to reify the horizon into a physical sphere edge. So while you're discussing whether or not you would see the curve of the geometric horizon from 120,000 feet, it's been debunked. So this whole notion, this magic trick's now fully exposed. What he's doing is forcing both flat earthers and globe earthers alike to reify the horizon into an edge, and whether or not it bends physically. It isn't physical. It's the end of that argument from Neil deGrasse Tyson, as useful as it may be to point out that both sides agree that it's obviously and observably flat. It's very useful for me to say that's not a claim I'm making, that's just the standard that everybody accepts on both sides of the argument if you understand how we observe the Earth. That stuff is flat. You aren't going to see the reified edge I say you must use in form of the horizon that you can't see bending at 120,000 feet. That's me paraphrasing the magic trick that is that statement from Neil deGrasse Tyson while he holds onto a ball that would have a geometric horizon that's physical and sphere edge-like, because it's a sphere. Earth doesn't have that. Our horizon's not a physical sphere edge. It's been debunked.
Well, it's a double whammy.
Well said.
It's a double whammy because we know that he's holding the ball as a prop, right? To get you visually to think you're still on a sphere. The only problem is when I share that example with people, they'll say, yeah, the Earth is big. And I'll say, well, it's already been measured by 3959. You know where I'm going with that, Nathan.
Yeah, something like that's good for somebody who just told you they see the curve from a beach or like from a plane. It's like, might want to check on your side about that story because that's not how that works.
Well timed,
So
chocolate. Well timed. No.
Yep.
So my wife told me about a neighbour that she had a conversation with about what I do, and she told her, and the response she got was exactly that. Well, I can see the curve of the Earth when I go on holiday in my commercial airliner. So my first instinct to my wife was, well, no, that's not their rhetoric. That's what I actually said to her. And then I paused. I thought, hang on a second. That's not how this should be phrased back to a normie now. Not at all. Why would we buy into whether or not a physical sphere edge horizon bends or not at 120,000 feet or at 30,000 feet? It's not a physical edge. So I said, no, actually, I've changed my mind. That's not the reply I would have given her. My reply would be, so you think the horizon's a physical edge, do you?
Yeah, it's even better.
Also, the next whammy on the Red Bull jump is that for 3 hours he ascended and the Earth did not rotate under.
That's more like it. Right on. That I like. Yeah, Earth didn't rotate under Felix Baumgartner now, did it? Now, given that you claim gyroscopes and pendulums prove we've got a separate non-inertial spinning reference frame turning underneath these things like pendulums and gyros and bullets and balls, Neil deGrasse Tyson again says that a football's kicked and Earth turns underneath it. Well, wouldn't it also turn under Felix Baumgartner? Yeah, absolutely, if it was turning, because he's not attached to it anymore. Oh, what do you know? He didn't demonstrate Coriolis deviation in his ascension. Oh, well, that's interesting. That's because we're not spinning. Yeah, I like that a lot more.
And there's a third one too, Nathan. They'll assert that gravity gets stronger and stronger the closer you get to Earth, but Felix Baumgartner slowed down.
Well, they say that's due to friction with all the...
Fact?
Whoopsie.
Yes, because it is due to friction, because he's going through the atmosphere. So it has nothing to do with their fairy tale gravity, where they will say, gets stronger and stronger the closer you get to the surface of Earth. And that's why he's accelerating downward, is because we have a force called gravity, but it's not apparent. There's no curve, the Earth doesn't rotate under Felix, and there's no force exponentially increasing as he fell.
You know who I had this argument prior to this? It was Sleeping Warrior, I believe, with Fight the Flat Earth. Am I correct?
Yeah. I didn't hear the original point he made. What did he...
Yeah. Do you want to repeat your your point about gravity in regards to Felix Baumgartner, please, Nathan Thompson?
Of course, yeah. They'll assert that the reason some things fall down is the force, and actually the force is getting exponentially stronger as someone gets closer and closer to Earth. It's not logarithmic because it's m1 plus m2 divided by distance squared. So it's getting really big, really fast, but if you observe the speed as Felix fell, He did not accelerate towards the Earth. He deaccelerated towards the Earth.
Yeah, that did come up against Fight the Flat Earth, because he said if relative density was the explanation, things would slow down as they fell. And I said that's exactly what Felix did. And when I plucked that one out, and I don't even know what, I don't know why I remembered it, but it was just in there. I just got the video out, and he slowed down from 800 miles an hour down to 120, which is a big difference, right? And I mean, yeah, there's air resistance and there's whatever going on, but you're right, gravity should be pulling in faster and faster and faster. But it slowed down by like 15% of his total velocity when he was free falling at the edge of space. Nonsense.
What's the difference in gravity between when it jumped from an Earth?
There is no gravity. There is no gravity.
There is no gravity.
Yeah, the difference is no gravity. What should it be?
What's the difference in no gravity?
That
makes perfect sense.
I have a question.
they had
because
a claim.
Someone mentioned
You should
that.
join the double
Hold
blind
on.
count.
Can you just let Chaiki speak? Go ahead, Chaiki.
Yes, they had a claim that gravity needs to be stronger, 50% stronger. But they get this from.
But it's not a force, though. How can it be stronger? Stronger implies that it's a force. It isn't.
No, they said it.
Yeah, they're wrong.
And how did he get to 800 miles per hour anyway? If he started,
He expelled quite a lot of energy in the form of the helium, which is much less dense, going up, in defiance of gravity, I might add, if it was a force, which it isn't. And then after...
Good answer, Nathan.
After expelling all that energy, he then returned to equilibrium. That's how it works. Obviously, he's much more dense than the air. You can't suspend him. So he returned to equilibrium.
What energy did he...
What potential energy?
Right.
Also, Earth is held to the sun by the gravity of the sun. I mean, when he got high and high enough, I mean, why don't people start floating towards the sun at some point?
Because they are in orbit around the sun?
That's a begging question fallacy.
Yeah, I mean, you're reifying your model with the word orbit. I've never seen any proof of an orbit, gravitational orbit ever.
Begging the question fallacy.
All rocket launches should go towards the sun to make it easier.
Just for
all rocket launches are parabolic. So what?
Can I clear something? Can I clear something up from beforehand when someone mentioned that when Felix Baumgartner went up, that he slowed down due to air resistance? No.
What?
No, we said when
Someone
he went
came
down,
down.
he slowed down because of air.
Oh, right, okay. But he slowed down as he went up because the air got less dense. So the difference in density got less.
Wouldn't that make him go quicker?
Yeah, it
No,
would.
it actually-
He had to let out gas
got-
so he wouldn't go further up. He let gas out. If not,
No,
he would have
the-
kept accelerating up.
Well, no, sorry, I misspoke. The difference in density because air pressure decreases as you go up. That's like we can measure that, right? So if relative density is dependent on is scales with the difference in density, then as he goes up and the air becomes less dense, then the helium gets closer and closer to the density of the air, so he slows down. Because the difference in density is
No, that's not how it works. You have to let helium out as you go up, like in a hot air balloon. As you lift off the ground, it takes a lot of energy. But as you get up in altitude, you have to let some of that energy out. Let some of that, whatever you're using.
I'm sure that's right, Dave, but I think he's correct. From his explanation, what he's saying is, as you go up and up and up and up, the air around you is less and less and less and less and less dense. Well, that's getting closer and closer and closer to the reduced density of the helium, which would mean you would slow down. I think he's right.
So, like, full disclosure, I do think that the Earth is a globe, but I was trying to assemble an equation, some sort of equation to show how relative density works in making things go up or down or accelerate. And one of the things that immediately jumps out at you is that relative density has to use the difference in density as some sort of scalar product. It's
That's why
yeah,
it's
dependent
relative.
on the different.
Oh,
Yeah,
hold
what's
on.
up, Spider Daddy?
Hold on. Can you let him make? Hold on. Can you just let him get to the end of his point? Sorry. Can you just make the end of your point again, please?
No, it was just that. That was it.
Yeah, I was working on it with him.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. I think you're right. Yeah, it's a scalar. You know, less dense goes up, more dense goes down, depending on the medium that you're in. It's fairly simplistic.
Okay, Spider, can I ask you? Spider, can I ask you a question on this subject?
Sure.
Have you
All right,
have you seen the?
let's say on your heliocentric model, as a balloon goes up and up and up and up, what would happen to a balloon as it passed the Kármán line and entered space?
Well, the same thing that happens. I don't think that would make a difference because as it goes up and the pressure around the balloon drops so low because that it. I mean that's what we see when we put a weather balloon up, right? If the pressure, if the
Okay,
air
but if
pressure around,
if a balloon crossed the Kármán line, what would happen to the balloon?
it would
We
explode.
need a definition of Kármán line.
Oh, okay, you're right. Because the gas would be pulled in all directions, so it would.
It might not explode.
I mean,
If
it wouldn't
it's
be
big
pulled
enough.
in all directions. It would just want to expand.
All right. Do the Globers want to talk amongst yourselves and figure out what you guys believe? Because
No,
one guy
just
said the balloon would
just
explode.
one guy.
One
Just let
Glober said,
guys. Can you just let Spider Daddy answer? Thank you.
yeah, exactly. Because I was on something here with Spider. So you said the balloon would explode, so the gas would go in all directions. Why doesn't that happen with the?
Oh right, okay. So I would now mention something which of course is a big no-no because it is a gradient.
Are you gonna
Right.
talk about?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, but
Sorry. Yeah, we've got past
put
the
that
gradient.
aside because
Hold on.
I'm
Spider
not
Daddy,
gonna-
hold on. You said gradient. Yeah, we've gone past that though, haven't we? He's taken you beyond that though, hasn't he? Into the Kármán, beyond the Kármán line. So no, past the Kármán line, the gas in the balloon expands in all directions into the vacuum. And he's asking why that doesn't happen at the Kármán line to the gas below the Kármán line.
because there's almost no gas right below the Kármán line.
Well, sorry, you're saying there's less
Hold
gas
on.
below the Kármán line than in that balloon that's gone beyond it. I'm pretty sure there's more.
I mean, in the meter area under the Kármán line, there is almost no gas. It
You realize that
increases
makes no
gradually.
sense.
It's a gradient. But
So there is gas though.
The point is,
hold on.
hold
on. So there is gas.
lots of gas under the Kármán line.
Just is there gas there? That you said there's not very much of it, but there's definitely gas. Yeah.
Yeah, there is
But you know,
definitely
that gas there. Why isn't it filling the available volume?
This is
because the pressure is incredibly low.
Sorry, pressure would be. Sorry, pressure would be. Its force that it can exert on the walls of a container as it expands in all directions. So that gas is going to be expanding in all directions. That's what gas does. And we're asking, why isn't it filling the available volume?
Because it has no
You said the balloon.
It had, but there is. The balloon has a very very large amount of gas inside of it. And the balloon is not strong enough to contain this large amount of gas. But the gas,
So when
the amount of
there's a
gas.
less amount of gas,
The gas pressure under the
it just
Kármán
does-
line is essentially, it is close to zero. It's 0.0001 and it increases slowly as you go down. But the point is that doesn't matter however you look at it, if it's flat or if you project that around a globe, because even on the globe, like when we send a weather balloon up, we see the gas pressure go constantly down. I'm not gonna get into a gas gradient right now because I know
Spider, I think you're
I
wrong.
don't understand it well enough, and I can't I can't
Spider,
fight.
I think the balloon would fall back
Why do we
down
have
under the
any of
Kármán
that
line in your
pressure in the
model. I don't
first
think it
place?
would. I think you guys are both messy on both sides. I think in the globe model, the balloon would fall back down under the Kármán line. I think in the flat Earth or the other side of it model or whatever, the problem is the gas, the balloon, when you put it outside the Kármán line, it had this pressure on it here, and then you put it into a differential. Whereas the stuff under the Kármán line in the heliocentric model, it's already been pressurized to that equilibrium. so it's not going to go any farther.
How does it pressurize and
I'm not. I don't
equalize
know. I don't
against a
know. I'm just
vacuum?
saying what their model is
That's
saying.
what we're asking.
to clean up the
Guys,
argument.
that's what we're asking Spider Daddy. He's already conceded and understands that gas expands in all directions. We've got gas pressure at the Kármán line. What is the Kármán line, Spider Daddy?
All right. I wanted to ask you, since you said mentioned this common line. How do I?
What is the Kármán line,
shut up.
Spider Daddy?
I was wondering who that was.
Oh, right. So now, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's an arbitrary point, but it's it is arbitrary because the nature of a gradient means that it technically doesn't end for a very long time, but
Spider, no, the nature of gas is that it moves in all directions, and you put gas in a vacuum and it definitely moves in all directions. You admitted that when I asked you what would happen with a balloon in space. The balloon would expand and explode, and the gas would go in all directions. Now we have a heliocentric model that tells us we are a ball of gas in space.
So I have another point which I would like to counter to the fact that gas goes in all
So
directions.
you just want to totally disregard that you.
Oh no, this is an answer to this. Don't worry. So if you use relative density to explain gas relative to a vacuum, then well you have a difference between 0 and the density of gas, which means that the gas would go down.
How are you containing that gas?
Sorry, what I don't know what you're talking about. What's the Kármán line?
Wait.
Sorry, all
Hey,
I've got
I like that.
So I just want an answer to my question. What's the Kármán line? You said it's arbitrary. That's as much as I got as a description for what this is.
It is what we've defined as the boundary between the atmosphere and space.
Boundary? Sorry. Boundary?
Yeah, well, it's not a physical thing. It's
mate,
literally just the point where we consider it to be space and not atmosphere anymore.
What's a boundary?
Bad word, boundary. Don't. But
I mean,
excuse me, whoever's talking. Hello, whoever's talking. Shh. What's a boundary?
Like a limit, a border. It's not a physical thing. Do you want me to say that it's a container?
I'm asking you.
I think he wants you to say. I think he wants you to say it's imaginary, and I imagine that it's real.
Oh, like
so. Okay, fine. What's on one side of this imaginary arbitrary barrier?
This is so funny, dude.
On one side is atmosphere,
and what's on the other side? And what's on the other side of it?
Nothing in inverted commas. Nothing.
It's not a sky vacuum called outer space, the most powerful vacuum known to man, according to the religion of sky vacuums and spheres in them. It's not just nothing. It's 10 to the minus 17 Tor vacuum, according to your religion. Do you want to try again?
I mean, yeah, but okay. I said it's nothing, which is a vacuum.
No, it's not. That's a violation of natural law. You see, you'd need a boundary for the gas pressure to press upon, otherwise it would expand rapidly in all directions and fill that available volume. It's called entropy. It's the second law of thermodynamics. So no, it's not a vacuum. Okay. Definitely not a vacuum. The sky is not a vacuum because the gas we're breathing would fill the space by way of entropy. Increase.
Remember the balloon, Spider? Remember you said the balloon would explode? Yeah. But we have atmosphere here on Earth. The balloon didn't explode. So we are not in space.
Right. But the balloon does explode in real life, doesn't it?
It does. So
just
before
quick question.
Just
a point of order, Your Honor.
Quick question.
A point of order, Your Honor.
Go on.
He said that we define space as the Kármán line. Who is we?
I don't know who defined the Kármán line. I must admit that.
Okay, well, the U.S. military and NASA do not consider the Kármán line space. That's just a point of order, Your Honor. You may continue the questioning.
Okay, so the balloon, as it's rising up, before it explodes, why doesn't the gas that's inside that balloon fill the space?
Oh. Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
The balloon example. What's stopping the gas, the helium inside the balloon, from filling the available volume prior to it exploding? What's stopping the gas from filling the space?
The rubber and the pressure of the air outside.
So, to have the helium contained, it needed something around it, like a balloon, to stop it expanding in all directions, correct?
And the pressure of the air outside it.
So,
because as the air pressure drops, the the balloon becomes too weak and can no longer contain it.
So the container fails and the gas fills the space?
Yes.
And what's the container around Earth to stop the same thing happening?
Well, see, I would now have to answer that there is no container and that the thing that stops the gas from going away is gravity, but I don't like to. I mean, I'm playing into your hand here. If I say gravity, the next point is going to be
you just need to leave a pause at the end of your statement. So playing into my hand, I'm not giving a just so story here. You are. So gravity.
Nathan, I don't like to mention gravity because it is difficult to talk about gravity.
No worries, mate.
Because
no worries. What's that? What's gravity?
Right. See, but the thing is, I know the whole story. I know from gravity and to okay, I'd say it's an acceleration. It's a force, but of course, it's not a force. It's an effect of something. You see, I know where you're going, but
isn't it interesting to think about the limits of why does it stop there then? Why does it stop there? Where else does it present?
Hold on, Preston. Sorry, I'm asking you. Sorry, mate. Mate, I'm going to summarise your point. Please, can you stop talking through me? Thank you. You said that the reason it doesn't do exactly as described by the balloon is because of a force that's gravity, but you know where I'm going, that it's not a force, it's an effect. So you understand that this non-force isn't holding gas here then? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm pretty sure it does, but the point is, I know
stop.
I know I can't.
Stop.
I know I can't
Stop.
fight with you on it.
Stop. No, don't just say no. I'm pretty sure it is, and then carry on. No. You've just explained to me that it's not a force. So no, it isn't. Let's not whistle past this. It's not a force, so it's not holding gas. Non-forces don't hold things.
Okay, you know what? Screw it. We're here already. Open up the book. Gravity is a force at the macro scale that we live at.
But no, it isn't. It's the bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space, length, breadth, depth, and time. That's conceptual. It's not a force. Now, you can think of it as a force, but it's not a force. Do you understand that gravity is not... I haven't finished. Shh! Shut up!
Sorry.
I'll finish my statement, and you'll reply when I've finished. I'm going to get pissed off with you real quick, mate. I'll say it again. Do not interrupt. Just respond with an affirmative based on what you told me. You have told me that this is not a force. So it's not holding, pushing, pulling, doing anything in that regard to gas. Because it can't. It's not a force. It's the bending of a concept. That's not going to force anything to do anything ever. So in rebuttal to how is the gas not expanding into the vacuum, you've said I've got a force that's not a force. So that's not a response or a rebuttal.
He did say it is a force, so...
I'm going to have to mute you, Preston, if you don't stop interrupting.
Do you want me to respond?
I've asked how the gas isn't expanding into the vacuum. And I've given an example with a balloon. That until it exploded, was being contained, and that's what was stopping it expanding in all directions to fill the available volume, as per the second law of thermodynamics. Now, your explanation for why the non-contained ball earth in a vacuum with gas at high pressure isn't doing that exact thing is because of a force that is not a force. So that isn't a rebuttal because it can't hold gas.
Spider, the reason you didn't want to
Nathan,
talk
hold
about
on.
this because it's a
Nathan,
guillotine.
Nathan,
It's a guillotine.
Nathan,
for your-
hello? So you haven't actually explained how the gas is still here.
Nathan, the point, the reason I don't want to get into it is because I do think that gravity is a force.
It isn't. Well, you're wrong.
Rather, the effect.
Sorry, I'll give you a few quotes then. Professor Brian Cox. Gravity is not really a force at all. End quote. George Musa. Gravity is not a force. You can think of it as a force. So, no, it's not a force. I'll try again. Do you understand that gravity, quote George Musa, is not a force? Do you understand?
Yes.
So, how is the gas we're breathing at high pressure still here, given that gas wants to expand at high speeds in all directions to fill the available space? And in your religion of a world that has a vacuum for a sky, that would be a space for the gas to fill, but according to you, it isn't. Now, that is a violation of natural law, and I'd like to know how you justify this violation of natural law, given that you haven't got a force to hold the gas here.
Unbelievable.
Well, Nathan, the point is, I don't agree with your assessment that I cannot treat the effects of gravity as the explanation.
Sorry, you don't think you can...
That's the problem.
Sorry, you don't agree with me that
your
you can't treat what is described as an effect in a conceptual medium as a force in reality, a cause. So you want to use an effect in pseudo-Ramonian force space as a cause in real world. It isn't, quote, Professor Brian Cox, gravity isn't really a force at all, end quote. No, mate, it's not the cause of things if it's an effect in pseudo-Ramonian force space. Why is this taking so long?
That was really funny.
Because you misunderstand it.
So, did you just say I misunderstand? Did you just use that you don't understand defense, mate? You're going to piss me off real fast if you did. Did you just say you don't understand?
Why? I see. The thing is, I don't
think you did.
completely understand space-time, and yes, I did use it, and I'm sorry, I'm not quite acquainted to the.
Oh, so you don't... Oh, I see. So you don't understand space-time. You don't need to. It's just conceptual. Nothing to do with reality. Bending pseudo-Ramonian force space has nothing to do with gas and what it does. That's real-world things that we experience. Pseudo-geometry that was dreamt up by Einstein is irrelevant. It's just conceptual, mate. You don't need to understand it. Even if you did, it's just a concept. Bending concepts doesn't give you forces. It's about the fifth time I've told you. So what, your lack of understanding argument from ignorance is going to stand here? No, mate, I'm telling you it's not a force. Brian Cox is telling you it's not a force. George Moose is telling you it's not a force. It's not holding gas here. Therefore, if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space.
I'm curious as to why you wouldn't think
because the gas
gravity
is
is a
denser than
force.
nothingness.
Yeah, he's giving us a possible relative density. He's not saying the source. He's just agreeing to our constant. Now, if you want to press on that and prove that these motherfuckers don't know the constant, excuse my curse, bless us all. Yeah, but he's kind of flexible, man.
Can you just let
promise you,
Nathan
he
kill this
was
guy?
he was helping me.
Nathan, by the way, can I just say, like, I've got someone to support me here. I was yesterday spent a long evening until like 5 a.m. figuring out the equation for relative density, because there has to be one. I'm trying to figure out how to explain things. I'm really skeptical, and so if something challenges my worldview, I will accept anything that comes out.
Why do you
So
think there
please
needs
calm
to
down.
be an equation? That's not what science is about.
We all hear you struggling right now with your worldview, buddy. Maybe it's
He
time to
wants
move
a
on.
math model. That's it. He just
Do
wants
you
a
wanna,
math.
sorry, can you repeat
Actually,
yourself?
why do you
Hold
think
on. Sleeping
an
Warrior,
equation?
can you repeat your question, please?
Why do you think that you need an equation? It's not what science is about.
That's fair. Yes, that is fair. Okay, let's redefine it. I want to find a set of rules with which I can make like an assumption, with which I can make an obvious. I want there has to be some kind of way to have a repeatable system
we have
of
that. It's called a
arguments
hypothesis.
based on which we can decide what happens and how it happens.
Decide what
And
happens.
Logic is
That's not how life
not
works.
math.
No,
Don't use
that's
the
not how
math.
life works. You don't decide what happens based on an assumption. You can validate your assumption through systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis. That's called the scientific method. It is empirical.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that.
Okay, but that's the point.
You
I
can.
want to find that.
But you
Well,
already
you
have
can.
that,
Yeah,
Sugar
I want-
Daddy. It's called.
You can do that, but you've done some maths. So you haven't done that. And now you're pondering about empirical methods when you've done maths.
Nathan, he said he wants to have something. Well, he does. It's called natural law, second law of thermodynamics. It's right there. What more does he want? It's right there. Entropy.
The balloon explodes in a vacuum every time. There you go.
Can I ask him a question?
Okay, but
Well, hang on. Please, can I get Spider Daddy's view of second law of thermodynamics and entropy as a natural law? Does he accept that as a real proof?
I mean, it works. We see it working, right? We see it working every day. So it must obviously
So does it
hold
work?
true.
So can you have an atmosphere next to 10 to the minus 17 torr of space?
Well,
Okay, let me
without
ask you,
gravity,
since-
you
Hang on. How is the air, the atmo, on this side of the space that's 10 to the minus 17 torr? The huge.
Well, I'm saying if you don't
magnified-
have gravity as a force, then you don't.
Hey,
Right?
Thames,
No,
can I
you
say
were
something?
you
But
were
gravity
saying-
gets weaker.
Hold on,
as
can you just hear his
get
response
farther away
once?
from
Sorry,
Earth.
was your response, Daddy? Was your response, if you don't have gravity as a force, then you don't have it? As in, you don't have a sky vacuum?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you think, well, if you're going to say gravity doesn't exist, and if that's the argument, well, then you can't have a vacuum next to gas. You can't. But that raises another problem: that is there infinite air?
Right? No.
How high does it go?
Sorry,
Is there,
your
I want to
conclusion.
know-
So let me get it straight. Your conclusion is that you can't have a sky vacuum if entropy is real, which it is. And further to that, you've got some questions. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, your sky vacuum's not real. I couldn't care less about your questions. We've all got questions once we find out that we've been lied to on a massive scale. But you appreciate at a fundamental level that you can't have a sky vacuum. It stands in violation of natural law. So you now understand that outer space is fake. You understand and appreciate that. It stands in violation of natural law.
Crowd goes wild.
It stands in it stands in violation of natural law.
That's right. Outer space is fake. It stands in violation of natural law.
Thank you, Spider. That's a great
If you ignore gravity.
Sorry, ignore gravity. That's not a force. We went through this, Chikey. I know you want to come back in with the circle jerk that this guy isn't seeming to adhere to. He's actually conceding that space is fake by way of natural law, applicable always
don't
and
like
inviolable. My God, why am I getting interrupted? Let me have my victory. Yeah, inviolable natural law dictates that the sky cannot possibly be a vacuum. Outer space is fake, Spider Daddy.
Okay. Well, for the sake of the argument, let's accept that.
Not for the sake of argument. It's proven out by natural law. This isn't some claim I'm making. It's something that you've just conceded based on natural law and actually stated that it cannot possibly be a sky vacuum. This isn't a concede for the sake of argument situation. It's an inviolable natural law demonstrating that space is fake. That all those rockets they're sending to this place, they're all lies. Total lies. Not for the sake of argument, a complete lie you've been told. That up until this moment, I think you believed in. Because of gravity.
Right, Nathan, but the thing is, I still do, but I want to move past it.
Oh, well, that's a shame. You want to move past, you want to retain your fundamentalist zealotry and believe that gravity can hold gas here. It can't, it's not a force. Which bit do you want to retain? You haven't got anything to retain. It stands in violation of natural law. So what is it exactly that you want to cling on to? And move past clinging on to what exactly? Gravity is a force. Is that what you want to cling on to keep the gas here? No, mate, it's not a force. What are you clinging on to exactly?
No.
What makes you think now that we've had this conversation, what makes you think the sky could be a vacuum?
Can I ask him one question?
No. What makes you think the sky is a vacuum? Given that it stands in violation of natural law as admitted by you, why would you think I'm just going to accept it anyway as a vacuum and move on? That's zealotry. Do you know what zealotry is?
I'm not saying we accept it as a vacuum. I'm saying, okay, the sky... I'm saying, okay, there is no vacuum up there.
They claim it's a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum that they're flying rockets out to. So you also understand that every word that NASA have told you about rockets going to this place is also therefore false. You appreciate that also?
Sure.
So you understand that NASA's a massive lie then? You are a globe believer who understands...
I don't care about NASA. Just throw it away.
You don't care about 52 million a day being pumped into lying about a sky vacuum that stands in violation of natural law. You don't care about that.
Sorry, Nathan, it's not my country. I don't...
Sorry,
their money they're wasting.
We've got ESA here. We've got the European Space Agency that do exactly the same thing in collaboration.
Yeah, well, Switzerland doesn't fund them, do they?
Sorry, I'm not talking about the funding. I'm talking about the lies of a sky vacuum that's fundamental to the religious globe belief that we are in a sky vacuum as a sphere Earth. So you just like more than happy to contain your what? Globe belief anyway?
No.
So welcome to Flat Earth.
Right. I have a
Welcome to
question.
Flat Earth.
Can I ask my question?
Why would we not ponder this moment where you've come on to assert that we've got gravity as a force holding gas here? You've accepted and conceded that we can't possibly have a sky vacuum. It stands in violation of natural law. Also, that every word ever uttered by NASA about this place called outer space, which would have the gas filling it if it was real, is also untrue. But now you want to move on to another question. You're a globe believer who made it... We didn't ask, but you made it plain and told us you believe you're part of this heliocentric religion. And now that you've understood and accepted that it's definitely not real, it's all lies... What, just move on? No, I'm more than happy to dwell on this. So you are now a flat earther.
natural to want to ask
I want
more.
to discuss the nature of the world.
The nature of the world is claimed to be a sphere flying around.
What's your question, Nathan?
I don't care what
Let's
they
do the
claim it
question.
to be, Nathan.
You don't care? But you declared openly at the beginning of your time here that you were a globe believer. You declared your religious fundamentalist belief at the start of your time here. Why are you now telling me you don't care when you made a point to declare it to us?
Well, Nathan, because my worldview is based on what I've calculated. And now I want to figure out why I was wrong.
Excellent.
So can we...
Where did you get the story from originally?
Please.
Yeah, surprisingly, mate, you're just now in the same boat as us. You know, now you're open and fair game to be ridiculed by other people who still believe they're on a globe. But you've got a load of questions now. Welcome to the club.
No, I have...
Yeah, I bet you have. We all have so many questions when we realise we've been lied to by NASA about what the nature of the sky is and how we're not really on a ball flying around the sun in a sky vacuum, suddenly you've got loads of questions, right? Yeah, I know. What a shock.
No, but I always have loads of questions.
But more interestingly, the sky's not a vacuum. Outer space is fake. NASA are full of lies. Far more fundamental to the worldview that's perpetuated on TV to the masses every single day of the week and year.
But Nathan, I don't read books to just kind of go, oh, okay, right, sure, that's what it is.
Yeah, you do. You declared openly that you're a globe believer when you joined. The fact that you've now had that taken away from you by your own concession is now what? I don't care about my globe belief that I declared openly when I started this conversation. You cared so much about it that you declared it to us.
Yes, because it was what I had done. Because it was the maths that I had done, right? It was the measurements I had done and
Which
the
is based
observations
off
I
a
had
story that you were given, right? Because you didn't come up with that story yourself. You didn't
story about
figure
rockets.
out that the world was a globe yourself, right?
I went and did the experiment myself.
What experiment?
Experiment?
What experiment?
Really?
Might be new. That's a bad word.
Yeah, I'd love to hear this experiment that you did.
I think he's done it deliberately so we stop labouring the point that he's now appreciated that the sky can't be a vacuum and every word that's ever come that's been described as a story from that place is lies.
If you ignore gravity, yeah.
We haven't ignored it. What? It's
Can't
nothing to
ignore
take into
something that
account. It's
doesn't
not a
exist.
force. There's
Friggin'
nothing to
bug.
take into account, Chaiki. Not a force. Don't need to account for
That's
a
not-
non-force.
That's not Chai.
That was the other one. That was Butthead.
That was Butthead Ed Freeze. We don't. But he does not exist until you scientifically validate it right now. Observe phenomena.
Oh, you mean the Cavendish
No.
thing?
Now
Yeah.
moving over to Ed. Just let me say one last word to Spider Daddy. Thank you, Spider Daddy, and I mean that most sincerely. Thank you very, very much.
Nathan, I have some experiments to go do, but Nathan, I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Don't we all?
A single question to you right now.
More than
Because
welcome. Go ahead.
Because I don't understand the worldview enough yet, obviously, because I was wrong. I don't understand it enough, and so I have a question because you. Right.
What?
So when you go up and up and up, because I sent a weather balloon up with an air pressure sensor on it, and I watched the air pressure dip lower and lower and lower, and I watched the weather balloon expand and expand until it blew because it could no longer contain the gas inside of it. So the question is, why do we have a pressure gradient? Is that like what should I do to figure out how we have a pressure gradient?
That's really easy.
And what comes after that?
The pressure gradient is because we have a dynamic system and the gas is created at ground level. Therefore, it gets less. For example, if you boil a kettle and change water into a gas and you put your finger over the spout of the kettle, there'll be a very high concentration of gas. Whereas if you put your finger about a metre above the kettle, it'll have dissipated. It's less. And that will get less and less and less the higher you go because the source of that gas is the kettle. So right next to the kettle, or next to a puddle, or next to a lake, that's when you're going to have the most concentration of, in this case, water vapour, a gas, at a high pressure. Well, that water vapour is going to get less when you go into the middle of the sky because there's nothing creating it. So it gets less as you go up.
Right, so the question was what comes after that? Because if it gets less and less and less and less and less, and at some point it reaches a point where there's almost nothing.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Definitely not a sky vacuum, though. I don't know.
But like
to answer your question, I'll be blunt rather than Weasley. I do not know what the sky is. I know what it isn't, and I can debunk a claim that it's a sky vacuum with rockets flying around or us flying around in it. We are not a ball flying in a vacuum. The sky definitely isn't a vacuum. It stands in violation of natural law. The reason we have less gas at the top is because gas is created at ground level. It's cyclical by nature.
You never describe something as to what it's not, right, Quantum Eraser?
That's correct.
Yeah, so why aren't you correcting Nathan then? When he
I'm
says
debunking
it's
the claim of
definitely
what it is.
definitely
Hold
can.
on. I'm debunking
Does
a
he
claim that
logically
it is a
follow-
sky vacuum. I can debunk that. I'm not claiming. I'm not making a claim of what it isn't. I'm debunking a claim of what it is. It's claimed it's a vacuum. I can debunk that.
Yeah.
He even prefaced
you're
that
out
by
of
saying he
context,
doesn't
Numpty.
know what
Another
the
one.
sky is. Like, try to keep
So
up.
you're out of context, Numpty. Hello, Numpty. You're out of context. Did you catch that part? Do you want Nathan to say it again?
Who? What?
Yeah,
I don't
you,
go around-
Ed Freeze, you Numpty.
Oh, no.
You want him to say it again?
Say what again?
Yeah, you Numpty dipshit.
I don't go around claiming what things aren't.
Yeah?
I don't look at the sky.
Gravity. Are you gonna friggin' prove it at any point here? Observe natural phenomena, please.
Yeah, I gave you the Cavendish
The
experiment.
Cavendish experiment is an observed natural phenomena. Are you snorting glue this morning?
Where can you go in nature to observe a Cavendish experiment?
I'm tired of hearing about Cavendish.
Oh, hey,
Wait, can I get him to
actually gave
answer?
you one
Where
example of
in
that.
nature have you just been stumbling along and come across a Cavendish experiment?
Are you saying it's not a natural phenomenon because it's done in a laboratorium?
We're trying to get you to prove gravity
Man-made
with
device.
a
Hold on.
naturally
Everyone calm down.
occurring
Hello?
phenomenon.
Everyone calm down. Hello? Well, you tell us, are you saying it is natural?
It's a natural phenomenon, yes. Is it supernatural according to you?
The experiment itself is natural. That's what you're saying.
Remember, I gave in a
Arwen,
natural.
Hold on.
Natural
Everyone's ignoring
phenomena.
Nathan's question. He's asked you very specifically, where do we observe Cavendish balls in nature? That's what he asked. If it's natural, we'll see it in nature. So where does that occur?
Right.
In nature.
Not the balls, the experiment.
Oh, come on. I have an answer for that.
You have an answer
There's
for
a
that.
natural
Hold on, this is going to be funny.
phenomenon.
Go on,
Remember
Owen.
monkey hanging from roots, monkey balls, and all
Monkey
that.
balls.
Right, you're wrong.
So where in
If you
nature?
wanted the natural version, you know, of the Cavendish,
where do we
there you
see
go.
Cavendish balls in nature, man? Can we move on with this?
Well, it's about the balls, right? And
Not
then being weighted.
No, Arwin, you're wrong.
Ed.
Come on, he can't even answer that. Come on.
Look, let him get his gag in. He got it in once.
No, because everyone just keeps interrupting. So if you let me finish, you measure a natural phenomenon. So is it all of a sudden supernatural because you do it in a lab? That's ridiculous.
False dichotomy.
the question.
False dichotomy. You got supernatural, natural, and the physical and natural and man-made. You're a moron. Show us where the Cavendish experiment is in nature.
Are you saying humans are not natural?
Are you saying humans are not humans? Am I saying humans what? Since you want to divert some more.
Yeah, if you let me finish for once.
Let you finish. You haven't started.
I asked, are you saying humans are outside of nature?
It's got nothing to do
Yes
with the
or no?
question.
Did you make humans?
Did
did.
I make humans?
Yes. Yeah. Did humans make humans?
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous question.
Yeah, because you're a moron. That's what you just asked.
No.
Do you
asking
understand the
if
difference
humans
between
are a part of
natural? Hold on a second, doofus. Do you understand the difference between natural and synthetic? Define each, please.
You already said it. Man-made. That doesn't mean humans are not in nature. We are a part of nature.
Give us the Cavendish experiment in nature.
Yeah, humans doing it in a
The
lab.
Cavendish experiment in nature.
He just said humans
I
doing
just
it in a
said
lab.
it.
Humans doing it in a lab.
Yeah, humans are natural.
Oh, humans are natural. What about the Cavendish
The
experiment?
lab
is
is
that natural?
made with natural
You're a friggin'
We
idiot.
experience it in nature. So if you're saying, like, in the same way as I can go and find a beehive and see them building honeycomb in nature, you're saying that I can just walk along the forest and find a load of men in white coats making a Cavendish experiment, therefore that's natural.
That is so funny, bro. Well done. That is hilarious.
Yo, that's so funny. Humans are part of nature. Hilarious.
Humans are part of nature.
So what's
Okay,
But
so
humans are
just to
not the
recap,
phenomena
we
in
asked
this
for you to
experiment,
prove
are they,
gravity,
Ed?
and you said you can go into nature and witness people doing a Cavendish experiment.
No. Not people. He said he can trip over Cavendish experiment in nature.
No, that's not what I said.
Yeah, that's what you
Nice
said.
straw
Let's
man,
just
though.
draw an end to
friggin'
this.
moron.
Right, the bit that's being observed
Yeah.
in nature is the phenomena. It's also known as the dependent variable, the effect. That's the bit that's got to be observed in nature. So, Cavendish experiment, that's step 3 in the method. Step 1 is observe natural phenomena. So if you're saying experiment is the phenomena, well, no, you do that after you've observed a phenomena, formulated a hypothesis which assumes the cause of the effect, and then varied that assumed cause to see if it causes the effect. That's an experiment. But you're saying the experiment is my natural phenomena. No, you've got it all out of order. First phenomena, then hypothesis, then experiment. Not experiment first. This isn't a phenomena.
So is it not a natural phenomenon?
No.
Because you do it in a
No,
lab?
it isn't.
Oh,
In a
that's
laboratorium.
interesting. So science is supernatural. No,
dude
that's
just
all
find
right.
laboratories and
Can you tell us? No, I don't mind doing this. We haven't done it for a while. You tell us. In the Cavendish experiment, experiments are hypothesis tests. And a hypothesis establishes the cause and the effect. The effect is observed at step 1. So if this is a scientific experiment, what was the hypothesis? And in that hypothesis, more specifically, what was the DV? What was the dependent variable observed phenomena in the hypothesis for this experiment? What's the DV?
Don't know, don't care about you.
Don't know, don't care.
Isn't this your experiment?
But isn't this supposed to be proving gravity? Shouldn't this DV be gravity?
Yeah.
Hello? Shouldn't this DV be gravity? Is that what it's prove?
It's a prime example of a religion.
Hello? Shouldn't the DV be gravity? Not I don't know, don't care. Isn't this supposed to be your proving gravity, mate? Retard.
I don't care about your word games.
Not a word game. We asked for proof of gravity that was scientific. You gave us Cavendish. Then we ask you, what's the DV? Not immediately, yeah, gravity. But I don't know, I don't care. That's just retarded.
Can you tell us what the title of the paper for Cavendish was?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I like how you shifted away from the whole
Yeah,
natural.
we're not shifting away, you
Right.
bozo.
You just said
We're
you
still
don't
on
know
Cavendish.
or don't care
What
about
is the title of the
dependent
paper?
variable in the
Shut
very
your
experiment
mouth.
that you're citing as
I
proof
can-
of gravity.
Kiwi, I can tell you the title.
No,
Go.
I don't want you to tell.
Oh, I do, because we'll never get it out of Ed.
No, because I don't care about your word games. Go.
Everything's word games, right?
Told you.
Experiments to determine the density
Well,
of the Earth.
with flat.
Yeah,
it is. Let him say it. Can he clear the airwaves? Go ahead, Spider Daddy.
Experiments to determine the density of the Earth by Henry Cavendish, on which he specifies on page 2 that he once saw that someone was trying to figure out the attraction between two large sources of matter. I'm just like elaborating it.
I see. So,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Just
I
bear with
busted
me a
him with
second.
that the
Bear
other
with me, bear with
night.
me.
That's why he
Just
said it.
Bear with me a second. Spider Daddy. Did you say?
Oh, I went and found it.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I
we've all-
posted it to you right in here.
Yeah, no,
Anyway.
you posted me an image, but I went and grabbed the thing. You didn't actually ever send me the whole thing. I actually went and found the whole
I
thing.
didn't send you the whole thing because of why?
Because of why? I don't know. Because you didn't want me to read it.
Remember I told you because I did too much work to get it. Go get it yourself.
Well, I got it. Here we are.
Good.
Excellent.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nat, you just said he was trying to establish the attractive force between masses, did you say?
No, yeah.
But you realised that that magic wand was snapped in two by Einsteinian gravity 105 years ago. Did you know that? We discussed it earlier. Gravity not a force. Did you realise that?
Right, yeah, but I'm just
Weight
saying
is-
what I'm just saying what he. I mean, I guess weight is the force. But
No, guys, the best one that was snapped was Lorenz. He's the best snapper. We don't need to talk about this.
Sorry, just one more time. Spider Daddy. So this force.
yeah, I was quoting Cavendish. Sorry.
Yeah,
like
I
I know that of course it's not because Einstein has a new explanation for it. But yeah,
so
I'm just saying what Cavendish did.
I understand.
Right.
But would you like to just explain to Ed that he's trying to prove 100-year out-of-date rhetoric that's been superseded with this quote-unquote experiment that's trying to prove a magical force of gravity that isn't a force? Can you just explain that to Ed? Because he thinks this experiment, which it isn't, proves a force that we discussed, you and I, earlier, that doesn't exist.
Nathan, I have a question. Why is it not an experiment? Because this seems perfectly like an experiment to me.
Excellent. Oh, I love it. I love that you've grabbed that baton with all the confidence in the world. That's marvellous. So, what would be the dependent variable, Spider Daddy, in this experiment?
What? So what it looks like right now is he was like, okay, so mass attracts mass is what my hypothesis is that mass attracts mass, right?
Excellent. What's that then?
And so he.
What's that then? Mass.
I don't know. He's assuming. I mean, let's put up spells from the perspective of what was this? God, when was this? 1798. Okay, so mass is literally just how heavy something is.
That's weight.
How heavy something is?
Weight.
That's not mass.
Well, of course it's not mass. It's the.
Well, of course it's not
mass.
mass.
So what's mass?
Of course it's not.
So what's mass?
What?
Well, how heavy something is this weight exerted on the floor.
That's weight. That's weight, isn't it? That's not mass. You've just said. You even just said a moment ago, like literally 25 seconds ago. Well, no, that's not mass.
Yeah.
So what is mass?
Mass is the.
You need to go back to the laboratorium.
It's a laboratorium.
Guys, can you just clear the air a second? So what is mass?
Mass is inertial.
Inertia? Well, no, inertia is inertia.
Inertial.
Yeah, inertia is inertia.
Inertial.
Yeah, that would be inertial.
Yeah.
Inertial is inertial. That's not mass.
Well, mass is inertial. A property of mass is
No,
that it is inertial.
Inertial is inertial. They're different words.
Yeah, but you're describing mass as inertial. What is mass?
What is mass? Mass is mass.
Mass is mass.
Okay, right. I think we'll hopefully you appreciate that mass at this stage is undefined.
I mean, sure, if you want to put it like
mass
that.
is that which opposes volume in density.
Yeah.
That's the best I
It's
can
like
do.
any amount of matter.
No, it's not.
Really?
Mass has no
You can't just make
Hold on, he's got another
Okay,
one.
but what is mass?
The amount of... Hold on, guys. Spider Daddy, the amount of what, sorry?
An amount of matter.
That's
That'd be-
incorrect. The Royal Society of
Or any
Chemistry.
amount of matter.
Jesus. The Royal Society of Chemistry studies have shown that the amount of substance, i.e. matter, is often incorrectly identified with mass.
Keyword incorrectly.
Let me just put you out of your misery,
I mean-
Spider Daddy.
What? Huh?
There is no definition. There's lots of equivocations between mole and various other things.
Huey, could you do me a favor and send me that one, because I don't know which article that is. What is?
No.
Who is it? Is it quote? Where do I go find it? What do I need to look for?
In
'Cause
Narnia.
I want to go find it.
Royal Society of
Well, that's
Chemistry.
not fair. I can't find the source.
Royal Society of Chemistry.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big registry.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we'll just go there. And
Yeah,
find
it is.
out
So,
what
like,
they
tell me
define
what
mass
I'm
as.
looking for.
Look, it doesn't
You've
matter.
got
The
the
citation
location,
isn't
and
the
you've got the
argument.
key tag word.
Hold on, man. The citation doesn't form the argument.
Well, what I
It
want to know the
supports
full
it.
context of the citation.
Yeah, but it's not the argument.
The
The argument is that
yeah,
we
I'm
have
gonna
no
go read
definition of mass. Now, unless you can define it for us, we don't need any citations. Because it's undefined, literally. At this stage, we haven't had a definition for it. So I don't need the Royal Society of Chemistry, but I would like you to give me a definition of it to prove that wrong. So go.
Well, okay, so first off, mass is any amount of matter.
That's mole.
And I'm
That's
assuming that thing...
That's mole.
I'm assuming that quote, that citation there is specifying, like... I don't know whether they're talking about, when they say any amount could mean two things. And so I don't know...
Oh my god.
I don't know which one that is. So
Really?
Q...
Hold on. So you don't know which one? Hold on. You don't know which one? You see, there's a descriptive term for that. It's called an equivocation fallacy. Have you ever heard this term before?
No.
It means when you've got two definitions for the same thing. You can't have two definitions. You can't have a situation where you go, well, I don't know which one to use. If it's science, it's rigorously defined. Not, it could be this one, but then again, I'm not sure.
When I say amount that has two definitions, right? It can be a amount as in like a blob of how much...
Sorry, if your defense is it's got two definitions, you're backing my point. If it's got two definitions, that by definition makes it an equivocation. That's not a defense. That's my point. Mate, acknowledge what I've just said to you before I really lose my temper. Okay. Telling me that it's got two definitions, that's my point. That's the definition of an equivocation. So that's not a defense. That's my point.
Fair enough.
Oh, I see. Fair enough. So mass is undefined then. No need for the Royal Society of Chemistry. We don't have a definition. What we have in place of a definition is an equivocation, where you don't know which of the two to pick. That's a big problem if you're going to be claiming this as science, even though, as described, 105 years out of date for a non-force force, you can think of as a force that's actually bending conceptual mediums, known as pseudo-Riemannian force space.
Nathan, would it be too much to ask you to be a bit kinder to me?
Kinder?
Well, you're shouting at me, and I don't know why.
This is the flatter.
Spider, do have some intellectual honesty.
Spider,
so
he wants you to be an honest.
I'll justify
Why
it.
don't you let Nathan answer?
Yeah, I'll justify it. I gave you an explanation of an equivocation fallacy, and in rebuttal, you told me that you didn't know which of the two to pick. Now, that tells me one of two things. Either you haven't understood what I just explained 30 seconds earlier, which is an equivocation fallacy, or you believe that the defence to this is that I don't know which of the two things that are being equivocated I should pick from. That would make you stupid. Now, if it's the latter, I apologise. I didn't realise how stupid you were. If it's the former and you didn't listen, you deserve being shouted at. So is it that you're stupid, or is it that you didn't listen to me, therefore deserve to be shouted at?
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't. When you explained it, I obviously didn't understand your explanation of it.
I see. I'm really sorry. I didn't appreciate how low your comprehension skills were. You sound intelligent. Unfortunately, that perception I had, not anymore, has been shattered. You're not as smart as you sound. Equivocation means you've got two to choose from, and in rebuttal you told me you didn't know which one to pick. The words of a moron. Sorry I shouted at you.
Oh. Right, okay, so... Oh, okay.
How do you think you're getting on, by the way?
When you mentioned the equivocation was after I said that I had two to pick from. I didn't
Yeah,
say
and
I
in
don't
defense
want
to me
to
explaining what an
said that
equivocation was, you told me you didn't know which one you were going to pick. Backing my point, that's why you got shouted at, because either you're stupid, in which case I shouldn't have really assumed that you were intelligent by the way you speak. That was my bad. That's why I'm sorry. I'm sorry I assumed you were smart. You're not.
But did he just learn? Did you just learn what an equivocation fallacy is like today, just now?
Yes.
You understand that now?
Yeah, that's why I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm
cool.
sorry I didn't
Now
grab
we
it
can
at
move
an
on.
instant while
Now
being
using
almost
mass.
shouted at immediately.
So now you
enough.
understand that using mass in either way is an equivocation fallacy. Therefore, that's what the citation that John brought up about how there is no definition for mass. That's the problem. You see how it all works together, right?
Right. Okay. So you've already. Okay. So I think you misunderstood what I asked earlier. I was talking about the citation. The citation specifies an amount, right? Or it
Yes.
says that the amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here's another one. Let's just end it real quick.
Huh?
John Wheeler and Edwin Taylor. What is mass? Nature does not offer us any concept as the amount of matter. History has struck down every proposal to define such a term. Even if we could count number of atoms or by any other counting method try to evaluate the amount of matter, that number would not equal mass. Period. End of citation. Are we done yet?
Well, yeah, so we've got an experiment that's not an
yeah.
experiment that's using undefined terms of mass. So Cavendish, even if we didn't go through this for your benefit, Spider Daddy, is still 105 years out of date as discussed previously on this show.
Yeah, I get that. But QE, QE, you also have the tendency to immediately start shouting. Sorry.
I don't care. Don't give me your
Actually,
color
I get that.
commentaries.
I get that.
At best, mass is a concept. Concepts don't attract each other. You've been fooled.
Well, I haven't been
With
fooled.
sugar on top.
I was reasoning it. I haven't been fooled. I mean, I.
Oh,
did
yes, you
the stuff
have.
Myself.
Oh,
I've
yes, you
obviously
have.
misunderstood it. That's the point.
Can I ask you a question?
You've been fooled.
Yeah.
And let's
No.
get back to the important point where Nathan said, this is 105 years out of date. You're parroting the wrong pseudoscience.
Don't you think you're being a little hard on the guy?
Yeah, we might be. You're right.
Yeah, I think we are being hard on him. The guy's been a real
Oh,
good
look,
sport.
I'm fine. I'm fine, guys. I'm fine.
So can I just ask one final question then?
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Spider Daddy. You understand what the purpose of an experiment is, right? A scientific experiment.
Yes.
What is it?
To prove a hypothesis. Or
Right,
disprove
to
it.
establish a cause and
Usually
effect
disprove it.
relationship, right?
Apollo missions experiment.
He said yes. He's
You
what?
guys,
Okay.
you guys were talking over each other.
He's affirmed it. Yes, Chocolate.
Okay.
He didn't
so
hear the cause and effect part.
Can you repeat
I'm
your last
sorry,
statement, Chocolate?
Yeah. So you said scientific experiment is to prove a hypothesis, which would be establish cause and effect relationship, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you said before the name of the Cavendish paper was what?
Oh, it was experiments to determine the density of the Earth.
Right. So is measuring the density of the Earth a cause and effect relationship?
No. No, it's not.
So therefore, it would not be an experiment, right?
Well, the
Well
paper
done.
isn't an experiment. There is an experiment he puts in. Well, I mean, experiment in inverted commas. Obviously, he puts in the paper. But yes, the point of the paper is something else, of course.
No, he calls it an experiment.
Right.
It's not actually an experiment. That's part of the point we're
Hold on,
trying
let
to make.
Chocolate have his moment. Go ahead, Chocolate. But yes, Arwen, you're
Yeah.
correct.
So the purpose of what he did was to measure the density of the Earth, but that's not a cause and effect relationship. right? That's just
Right,
measuring
but
density.
in the paper, the cause and in the paper he does have a cause and effect relationship that he wants to
Where?
prove or disprove.
Where?
Well, cause and effect relationship that he wants to find is that matter attracts matter.
Matter attracts matter.
Yeah, I mean that is what he's proposing. But the thing is, I mean, obviously,
No, but he's already
you
under
know what
that
matter is.
assumption in order to perform his quote unquote experiment to measure the density.
It's
But
not
that's not what
tested.
he's trying to prove. He's trying to
Well,
measure
yeah,
the
but
density
he wrote
already under
the
a
paper
false
after
assumption.
he'd done the experiment. He did an experiment, realized he could use this to do something else, and then I'm just trying to justify this guy's process. I'm not saying like what he ended up with was correct. I'm just saying that that's what he did.
What I'm trying to get you to see is that yes, the papers call experiments to measure the density, but in there is the fault because measuring density is not a scientific experiment. It's just measuring density. He's not finding a cause and effect relationship.
Well, yeah, no, but the point is that the experiment
So then it's not
that he
not
does
an experiment.
gets him one thing with which he can then determine the density of the Earth. That shouldn't be too hard to understand. That's a
No, it's
series.
not but the point
he
is,
came
it's
up with
not-
an experiment. He found
it's
something
not,
out through the
though.
experiment, and then he was like, "Okay, so I can determine
I've got to
the
stop you.
density of the
You
Earth
keep
with
whistling past the point. You keep hello. You keep whistling past the point. It's not an experiment. Now, it's been called an experiment. Arwin said it, Chocolate say it, and then you'll say, yes, I understand, it's not an experiment. But the experiment, blah, 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 with the just so story that goes along with it. At the point that you accept, without a load of waffle afterwards, that it is not an experiment by definition, we can then make the point, or Chocolate will hopefully make the point, or if he hasn't got a point to make, I will make one.
No, that was my point. It's not an experiment.
So we just need
he's measuring the density of the Earth. He's not finding a cause and effect relationship.
Right, can we have a concession that you appreciate and understand that by definition this is not establishment of cause and effect based on a hypothesis after observing natural phenomena? You understand and appreciate this is not an experiment. I just need you to yes so I can actually make my point.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused because it's a scientific paper which has a title on it.
That doesn't make it science, son.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm getting to that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Sorry.
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. I just need you to just affirm, as we've taken you through all the steps, you're doing really well, that you understand and appreciate that despite the title in what you've just described, thankfully, as a scientific paper, that it isn't a scientific experiment. Do you understand that? It's taking quite a long time.
That's the point. I wanna clear up my own confusion on this. So this is a 68-page long paper. During this 68-page long paper, he conducts an experiment.
No, he doesn't.
At the end of the paper,
sorry, Spider Daddy, Spider Daddy,
during this paper,
Spider Daddy, Spider Daddy. Hello. No, he doesn't. Does he observe natural phenomena, formulate a hypothesis with independent and dependent variable, and then vary that which he assumes causes the effect to validate that which he has assumed? Is that what he does? Because that's what an experiment is, and you've just declared that's what he does in this 67 pages of words. Does he do that at any stage? We've already established, we're going round in circles now, that he hasn't done that. You've conceded he doesn't do that. We just need you to put aside your cognitive dissonance and accept that which you have already conceded. He has not observed phenomena. He hasn't even got defined terms. This is not an experiment. But until you concede that, I can't go on to make a further point that might help you in this. Because you're refusing to accept it, you want to believe it is an experiment because it's in a quote-unquote scientific paper. So, do you understand, or don't you understand, that it absolutely, unequivocally is not the establishment of cause and effect based on a naturally observed phenomena with a formulated hypothesis with independent, dependent variables and a null that's been validated with systematic experimentation? Do you understand that this paper is not that?
No, it's definitely not entirely that.
Perfect.
It's only got like
perfect. I don't need anything else. You understand? It's not an experiment, and yet the reason you, as an individual, have this cognitive problem is because it's labelled an experiment. And you think it's science because it's in a quote-unquote scientific paper. So why on earth would you think that somebody who does not have science has labelled their bullshit science? Why do you think that is?
Because he himself didn't understand it?
No, it's because your entire paradigm of living on a sphere is based not on science, as declared by fundy liars like Cavendish, but actually based on a little story in a book. Now, you call that book a scientific paper, even though it contains no empiricism, or to put it another way, no science. But yet it's being called science. And part of science is experiment. And it's being called an experiment. So it's neither an experiment or a scientific paper. But yet it's being called both. To justify and make you believe that this little story proves we've got a force to hold gas here, which is the impression you were under.
Okay, so you are accusing me of several things, Nathan. One of them that strikes out to me the most and does irritate me a lot is that you accuse me of believing things that I have read. Right? Reading something and then thinking that that's how that is. I do remember I do remember stating earlier on that I do these things myself.
So you validated the globe.
Did I validate the globe?
Yeah, you told us that you were a globe believer. Now you're telling us that you validate these things yourself. Now we're holding you to the very specific thing you declared at your opening, which was that you think Earth is a sphere. Have you validated that yourself?
Yes.
How have you validated it?
Uh-oh. Here it comes.
Fun one. I did. You know the one with the two sticks and the shadows? Same point in time with sun. That's the one I did.
Take us through it.
Hmm?
Take us through the maths, please.
Sure. What, maths, please? Yeah, you want maths.
This is a mathematical equation that you are deriving
fair
from
enough.
sticks and shadows. At some point, do you want me to cut this short, or do you want me to put you through the
It's
torturous
trigonometry,
exercise?
right?
Sorry?
You just cut it short.
You will be assuming an R value in these mathematics.
Hmm?
You
Will I be assuming an R
will
value?
be assuming an R, that would be radius, value in these mathematics.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I see what you mean. So you're saying that I'm assuming that the Earth has a radius, so the maths that I'm doing changes the outcome. Because if you add an R or not,
Sorry,
that would add the outcome.
sorry, you told me that you'd validated Earth was a sphere with sticks and shadows. Now I'm pointing out your
To be
fallacious
fair-
reasoning. Stop talking. I'm now pointing out your fallacious reasoning. It is as follows. First, assume we have a radius. That's the thing you're being charged to prove. And then do some maths that proves the radius you assumed in the first instance. Circular reasoning, otherwise called a begging the question fallacy. I'm asking you to prove sphericity and you start with an assumed sphericity. No, that's not sound logic. Begging the question.
Yeah, you can't put the presupposed radius value into your math to assert that we have a radius value.
I think it's just time for
Oh
a
yeah,
correction.
but you don't put the values in.
It's time for a
don't get it wrong.
correction,
It's not-
Spider
it's not
Daddy.
getting-
Spider Daddy. You did not validate your belief. You simply begged the question and applied circular reasoning to your belief with this assumption of an R value, followed by something you did.
How did he validate the distance to the sun?
That needs R as well.
He also assumed parallel.
So just before we move on, you just said you validated everything yourself. First question from Neil. Did you validate Earth's a sphere? No, you didn't. You assumed it.
He also assumed
And my question's still valid. How did he validate the distance to the sun?
Oh, validate. Oh, yes, validating.
No,
distance to
answer
the sun.
Nathan's statement first. Did you assume an R value in your so-called proving the globe?
He did. He's already conceded that.
Yeah, I'm conceding the fact that when I did the calculation, that my equation had the variable R in it.
Right,
Which was
so-
the one
so
that
that-
you
that
told
isn't
me.
proving anything.
I didn't assume the value for it. That's
Mate,
an important
you assumed
distinction.
it. Don't tell me that you've assumed R and then tell me you didn't assume it, you double-speaking cock.
Sorry, no.
You assumed it, and now you're telling me you didn't assume it. That's going to piss me off. I'm not going to justify this. Seconds ago, you admit that you assumed R. Then, literally in the same breath, you tell me I'm not assuming it, though. Yeah, you are.
Nathan, calm down. Sorry.
If you tell me to calm down, I'm going to lose my shit so much with you, you fucking zealot. Don't tell me that you haven't assumed R after declaring, as per our point, that you have indeed assumed it. You're not proving a thing, retard, by assuming the very thing you're supposed to be proving. That would be an R value. Don't interrupt me, dick. You've just in the same breath said, I'm assuming R, but I'm not assuming it. That's going to piss me off. Double speak nonsense. Yes, you absolutely are assuming your outcome with this R value. That's the thing you're supposed to be proving, not just inserting it into your maths, doing some sticks in the ground and then saying, well, I've already got an R value, but this proves it because I've already got it in the maths. Having it in the maths already, you need to prove it, not just stick it in. Don't tell me you haven't assumed it. That's going to piss me right off. You have.
Can I answer that? Right. So my calculation and the experiment as consequence was incorrect because the equation that I set up, right? Because I determined the situation and set up an equation for it, and that equation was a list of variables, and one of the variables that I assumed would be a necessary variable was the fact that I just put the letter R down there. Right?
Yes, so you assumed Earth's got a fucking radius. You assumed it's spherical then?
Right.
Yeah, no, not right, you stupid shithead. You're really starting to piss me off. That's called... Oh, I forgot, he's stupid, isn't he? It's called begging the question. That's my point.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's not proving Earth's sphericity. It's you assuming your outcome a logical fallacy called begging the question then.
Yes.
That's not acceptable, mate. That's flawed logic. So when asked by Neil if you'd validated Earth as a sphere, no, you haven't. You've just deluded yourself with logical fallacy then.
Yeah, so I was obviously...
Yeah, so you've deluded yourself then.
Obviously, yes.
Yes, thank you. That's going to calm me right back down. Thank you very much, Spider Monkey.
Oh, thank
yes, we're
goodness.
surrounded by people who are delusional and kid themselves that have proven something when they're assuming it in the first instance. Yes, you're like everybody else. You just admit it. Thank you so much.
Spider
Can
Daddy, please.
You
Spider
got
Daddy,
really
please
angry over
reference-
something that I didn't
Spider
mean to.
Daddy.
Like I
Spider
didn't.
Daddy, we're done with
Yeah?
that. Don't worry about anger. Okay, it's justifiable after you've been on the show for a while. Spider Daddy, what was the title of the Cavendish document?
You want it again? It's experiments to
Just read
determine
the
the
title.
density of the Earth.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
You just learned what equivocation was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fallacy caused by double meaning of a word.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what is density in relationship to gravity? Does density mean gravity, and does gravity mean density? Is density
Don't
keeping you
quite
down,
know how
or is
you-
gravity keeping you down? Are the words
okay.
interchangeable?
So
Are the words interchangeable? Are the words
No,
interchangeable?
no,
Is it a synonym?
no. In the model, right? In the I guess in the idea and the way the function works, the idea would be that density causes something, which is gravity, which causes them.
Spider Daddy. Gravity is now the force. We already went through that. Is the
Right,
word
okay.
density? Is the word density synonymous to the word gravity, a force that's not a force?
No.
So then Cavendish was not proving gravity. He was trying to prove density. You equivocated it to gravity. How'd you do that? Find the title.
Right. I know what you mean. All right. So the way that the way that the maths for the Cavendish experiment works is that
No, stop. I gotta stop you. I can't go through this again. Why didn't he label this is a gravity experiment? He said density. You just said density and gravity are two different things. So it doesn't prove gravity. Do you accept that?
So his experiment, which is not an experiment.
The title is density. Why not just interchange it with gravity? He didn't.
Because he wasn't trying to prove gravity.
Take over, Nathan.
Yeah, this is a quantum eraser point. Like I agree with this. He wasn't trying to prove gravity. No. Okay, so can I explain this? He
just
was assuming that he knew the value for R.
Hang on. I'll let you go.
And that he knew.
It's Nathan's show. Hang on. I'll let you go after I finish. It's Nathan's show. You can do what you want with him. You just said equivocation is a fallacy caused, or you agreed to this, a fallacy caused by a double meaning of a word. That's what you're going to take the next 15 minutes to do? Equivocate?
No.
Okay, we'll see.
No, because the point is gravity and density are two different things.
Well, thank you. What's the title of the paper again?
Experiments to determine the density of the Earth. He wanted to find out the density of the Earth.
Then why did you equivocate it to gravity?
I didn't. When I did,
Yes,
when did I mention that?
You've been trying to prove gravity all this time by that paper.
No, I haven't.
You did. You described that. You went to a page and you described about the force between masses.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I was proving gravity. My bad.
Because, and I'm saying, what I'm going to say now is out of the perspective of Cavendish and what the process is that he describes in his paper.
So you're going to tell us the just so story that Cavendish came up with, but labelled science and labelled experiment. It's just a story in a book that you call a scientific paper, and his method is just a nonsense, meaningless contraption that he's called an experiment. It's just lies.
Yeah.
Pseudoscience. There's
but
a term
the point
for
is,
it.
I'm trying to clear up that there's not an equivocation.
Really?
Because what he does is he does his thing, the metal balls, whatever it is, I don't know, and then he takes the values from this, and then he has two equations that he has combined, and then the end result of this equation is the density of the Earth. In order to do this equation, he needs to know the radius of the Earth.
Oh, so he did the same thing you did, assume R.
Yes. Well, he assumed R. No, he didn't assume R. He had
Hold on, he's
a
going to do
value
the same
someone else
thing
measured
again.
for him.
He's literally going to say, yes, he assumed R. Then in the same breath say, but he didn't assume R.
Yeah. And then he's going to say someone measured it.
Yep, he didn't find
Well,
M either,
as
mass,
said, I
which
was
you
just
couldn't
saying out of
define
his
either.
perspective.
So let
That's
me
what
ask
he
you a
did.
question. Hold on a second. Let me ask a question. He didn't find M mass. We know he can't define it, right? So if density equals mass over volume, and he didn't find M for mass, and he damn sure didn't know the volume, how in the hell algebraically can you solve for D density?
If
You
you
can't.
take
You can't
Right.
is the answer. This is all pseudoscience, convoluted,
Well,
circle jerk, numpty dipshittery because they know that their target audience are abject morons, so they can get away with it.
Quantum.
That's what's going on here.
Quantum, don't get this wrong. Algebraically, he can calculate R. But of course, because he
I didn't talk
presupposes
about
the
R,
value...
did I?
He said D.
I
Oh, no,
didn't
so the
mention
D.
R, did I? That's another
Algebraically-
topic.
Yeah, algebraically, he can calculate D. That is
From
part
what?
of his thing.
Without M
From
or
he
V.
didn't have M or V.
Well, he has M and V.
No, he
in
didn't.
there.
He didn't find M. I
Sorry,
gave you that paper too.
What's M
Yeah, he
stand
didn't
for?
find
Can't
M.
even
Hold on,
define
hold
it.
on, hold on.
He
What does
can't
it?
define it.
What's
Show
M
V
stand
and
for?
M in his paper.
What's M stand for again?
Mass.
So we've got the equivocation fallacy. He solved for M, did he? He solved for this equivocation fallacy, did he?
No, he didn't.
Oh, so he didn't. But only
All right,
literally
he
10
solved
seconds
for
ago
D.
you said he did.
No, he didn't.
No, he
I
didn't.
didn't say that.
No, he definitely didn't.
I didn't say that.
But
Nathan,
but
I
you
didn't
kind
say
of
that.
did. You just said that he could solve for D without M or V. You just said that.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I think now
Well,
you're
what is
realizing
M
it's
and
wrong,
V
but
combined
yeah, you
to?
just said that.
It's a terrible,
It's all
confusing
right,
thing.
man.
So I just want to round out the point that the whole point of this is to say this sentence, right? Are you aware of the word pseudoscience? Have you heard of that word? If so, do you know what it means?
Yes, and
What does it
I'm
mean?
pretty sure I know what it means.
Go ahead. What does pseudoscience mean?
Science that is not science?
Science that
Fake
hasn't
science?
gone through the scientific method.
Yes.
So if you assert something as science, let's say in a scientific paper, and you assert that something has adhered to the scientific method with, say, step 3, the experiment stage, if you assert that and you haven't adhered to the method, then what you have actually produced is a pseudoscience claim. So do you understand that this Cavendish experiment is absolutely and accurately described as pseudoscience?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
So a lot of globe belief is based on pseudoscience.
Oh, what? Right. Oh, okay, so if this is pseudoscience, then globe belief based... Oh, yes, okay, yes.
Yes, lots of globe beliefs based on pseudoscience. Isn't that interesting? It's funny that
Well,
we're
lots
called...
of globe belief isn't even based on science, right?
Yeah, that's
It's
my
based on
point.
what people
Yes,
tell
thank
people.
you. Yes, it's interesting because we get called science deniers when we pull apart this nonsense like Cavendish. We get called science deniers. In reality, we're actually pseudoscience exposers because calling it science is incorrect because it hasn't gone through the method of science. So it's actually pseudoscience, but when we pull it apart and expose it as lies and nonsense and stories in books, we get called science deniers. We're not. I just wanted to make that clear. Your religion's based on pseudoscience, but you all call it science.
And again, Nathan, don't mistake my religion for... Science isn't a religion.
No,
Me doing the
pseudoscience.
scientific method, which I thought was the
Pseudoscience
scientific
is.
method, obviously it isn't, and it wasn't, and I made mistakes. But I don't just immediately believe.
I see. So
I made tests
now
to
that
see
you know,
and if
though,
I could prove to myself it was correct.
Now that
but
you know.
obviously, that was wrong.
now that you know that it's not science, this Cavendish thing, how do you feel about pseudoscience? It's bad, right? Pseudoscience is bad. Why would they teach pseudoscience to children as though it's established science. Why do you think that is?
This is interesting. I'm getting the whole span of everything quite nicely summarized. Great.
Yes,
Okay. I don't know.
this is
Tell
the
me.
crux. This is the crux of the biscuit.
Tell me.
This is the crux of the biscuit, what we're discussing right now. Once you understand this, then you are illuminated.
So why would they label a story as science, ultimately defining it as pseudoscience? Why would that be taught as fact and true to children?
As said, I don't know. Tell me.
To perpetuate a lie that we're on a spinning ball flying through a sky vacuum.
But why?
Which we're not.
But why?
We're not in the business of whys. We only know that they're doing it.
We didn't do it to you, bud.
You ask them why.
Can I tell him?
Okay, tell me.
You can tell them their speculation.
Oh, hold on. Rob, go ahead.
It's to deny the creator.
Okay.
That's more or less it. Does that do it
deny
for
the
you?
creator. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
The allegedly pseudoscientific model doesn't even know how everything started.
Big Bang. That's how they
I mean,
claim
Big
it.
Bang. Yes, yada yada. But like, how?
No, that is
You can
how.
always add a creator at the end of it, so it doesn't really.
Well, that would mean there was a creator.
We also
But
don't know how life started.
Sure.
So.
Oh, yes, we do.
You've strapped on a creator to the Big
You-
Bang, but
you
Big
may
Bang is
not.
just their explanation. That's their origin story. So Big Bang, that's the origin story for the heliocentric religion. Not a
Their
creator.
creator's nature.
People who are already completely deceived are very easy to continue to deceive. It's about control.
Yeah, but they already have their creator, was the point. Their creator is nature. Nature pre-existed before it existed, then poofed itself into pre-existence from non-existence, and then from pre-existence into existence. That's their creator.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that makes
I don't
sense.
think there's any quote unquote scientific evidence for how the Big Bang became
How the
to
Big
be
Bang,
and how
begging the
and how
question fallacy,
something-
what Big Bang?
Spider Daddy, are you
So,
this dense?
I think
Have
he's
you
actually
ever
on
gone
point.
through the? Hang on, Spider Daddy. I thought you were improving here. You're so dense. When in ever anyone's history here going through a secular science class where they talked about the Big Bang, did they say a creator made it? When in school? When?
No, they didn't.
Okay,
I
then
know
why
several
are you
people though who
saying
assume
what
that
you're
he did.
saying?
That's just
Then
a
why
personal
are you-
observation.
It's
You're
a field
assuming
consensus.
the Big Bang anyway. Hold on a second. Wait a second. He's assuming the Big Bang itself. The Big
I'm
Bang
not.
isn't a scientific theory either. It falls into Cavendish pseudoscience. Same thing.
Well, QE, I said what I said was the quote unquote scientific model of the how the world came
Scientific
about.
model, that's a reification
Doesn't
fallacy.
I said quote unquote, which is apparently pseudoscience. Okay, so the story doesn't have an explanation for how the conditions
Well, then it's
for the
not
Big Bang came
science.
about.
Yeah,
It's,
so
I
it's
already
not real.
told you, you're assuming the Big Bang. For goodness, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. You're conjuring the Big Bang from what they told you. The Big Bang is not a scientific theory.
Maybe if I dispense with the Big Bang. Are you aware of the first law of thermodynamics?
Yes.
What's the first law?
Energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Boom! Bye bye goes your Big Bang. Nature can't create
Right.
itself.
That's the point.
So no Big
That's
Bang.
what I was saying.
So
Okay, can
it's
I make myself clear over a longer span of time so
Sure,
I can
go ahead.
I was saying, right, the story of how the world works, of space and the story of the Big Bang, the story of everything, the story doesn't have a start built into it. The story doesn't have a start. built into it.
So
It must
doesn't.
have a start built into it, or it's a second law of thermodynamics violation.
Well, but the point is, it doesn't have one built into it because the
It does have
story
one.
claims to not know.
Yeah, it does have one. The singularity.
Singularity.
Listen, shut up. It does have one. It's called the singularity.
But it's irrelevant. Who cares if the story has a beginning or not? It's just a story.
Right. The story, right?
Yeah.
I was
Just
what
the
I was
story,
posing.
exactly.
What I was posing is that because the story has several points in it, has the vital points in it that don't have an actual explanation for it, as given by the story.
Oh my
right?
God.
The
There's only
creator-
two ontological primitives. Let's just solve this. You're just running convoluted gibberish. There's only two ontological primitives. That is, only two reasons can be possible for how we in the universe are here. That is nature or intelligent designer.
Yeah.
That's it.
And what I'm saying is that the story, and this is my personal belief, I'm saying that the story does not exclude, at this point, a creator. Because
What
the
story?
story is incomplete.
What story? What
story
story?
of the Big Bang does not include.
Big Bang! It's just like you said. You said story a number of
story. I'm
times.
saying
Let's let's give him a juxtaposition. Hold on. Hold on, quite QE. Let's give you a juxtaposition. The story of He-Man doesn't exclude that the Thundercats could also be on the same planet. Doesn't exclude that in the story.
Yeah.
And that proves what exactly?
Nothing. I was
So-
posing this
From
as
Eternia?
I was posing this as a
So-
counter
so-
to the
so-
idea that it's to hide the creator.
Yeah, I get it. So if I elaborate and say Narnia doesn't exclude the idea of having gravitational attraction, so what? Doesn't prove Narnia or gravitational attraction because the story doesn't discount the idea. It's meaningless.
Right. But I wasn't saying that, and that's not. I'm sorry. That was not the point I was trying to make. What I'm saying is the story of science does not exclude the concept of a creator.
Story of science? Hold on a second. The story of science?
The
What
story
the
of the
hell is
world.
that?
Pseudoscience, whatever you want to call it. What people
Oh
tell
my
us.
God. You're just rambling. Are you drinking?
No, I'm moving the goalposts on myself.
No, it's perfect. You haven't moved the goalpost. You've kept
You
them
know
completely
what?
in
He's
line.
got more honesty than most people.
No, that's
that come here,
perfect.
so.
What he's actually said is pseudoscience. These stories are just pseudoscience. That's correct. That's not moving the
Yes, they're
goalpost.
story,
That's completely
right?
in line
Okay.
with our point.
No, I'm moving my own goalposts, right? Because my original point was that they weren't. So I'm moving my goalposts to it being stories. I'm just trying to say that whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to play the word game. Whatever it is, doesn't exclude a creator.
It's not word game. It's called semantics. It's called the Socratic method. I don't even know. If I ask somebody anyone in here, do they know what you're talking about? I can guarantee they're not going to know because I haven't a friggin' clue. What's your point?
My point is that it doesn't exclude a creator.
What's it? The story doesn't exclude.
The
That's what his
story
point is.
of the
The
world.
story doesn't exclude the creator. But that's great. Thanks. Appreciate
The
it.
story of
That's what I'm
Narnia
saying.
doesn't exclude transgenderism.
I'm not saying that.
And
to
the
say
story
that
of
the story
He-Man
is true.
doesn't exclude
I'm not-
Thundercats. Who cares? It's just a story.
Right.
It's also a first
Why
law of
aren't you getting
thermodynamics
this?
violation, though.
But it's the story that they tell.
Yeah, that violates the
who are
first
they?
law.
Well, I want to ask you that as well. I don't. Who are they? Who is doing this?
You said they. Why are you asking me?
Oh, I've got the
You
answer to
claimed
that.
it. Who are they?
I've got the answer.
Because I'm assuming the same they that you're assuming.
Are you?
Oh
I
my
don't think
God.
so. I don't think so. Who's they? You go first. Who do you think they are?
They, as in the people perpetuating the story.
Yeah, who are they?
I don't know.
I know who they are.
Okay.
Another guess?
So what? NASA, ESA, what is that other one in the US that has all the weather data?
Pseudoscientists.
Right.
Oh, that
okay.
wasn't what I was going to say.
Answer.
Well, okay, yeah, that could fall into this category. It's you. The people perpetuating this lie is you. And when you come across the information that's easily accessible, it's right there in the Cavendish paper that you're looking through. He's explaining his just so story and his mathematics and his non-adherence to science. It's there in black and white. You've got it at your fingertips. But you have decided to tell the story in the way you want it to be told. So the people perpetuating the they is us. So when you find this information out, because someone like us actually shoves it under your nose and says, no, this is pseudoscience, this is how, and we drag you by your coattails around showing you how you've deluded yourself. You've bought into a story. And now you're perpetuating it here. So the they is us. Not us, not me, but you.
You see
Right,
how
so
this?
how did it start?
You see how this dovetails of what I said in the beginning. The pseudoscientists know that their target audience couldn't understand the difference between their ass and a pipe wrench. They already know this. So what they do is they headline you and they put a bunch of gibberish in their so-called scientific papers because they know that you can't evaluate, because you wouldn't know what science was if it landed on your face, spun around, and whistled Dixie. But they know you'll parrot their bullshit. So they just put their bullshit out, sit back, kick up their feet, and friggin' laugh at you, and you perpetuate the lie.
Exactly. And with that, a perfect conclusion, what I've been waiting the last 3 hours and 15 minutes to reach. I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making this epic after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to you in the Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Stream audience for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!